My best friend's girlfriend ruined my food. I don't know how to tell my best friend that I'm pissed with his girlfriend. I, 35 male, am a foodie. I've been cooking since I was 10, and I even have a personal cookbook of the recipes that I've accumulated over the years. I know my recipes to heart, so much so that I often don't need a recipe to cook my dishes. My closest friends and I decided to have dinner and board game night last week, which my best friend Clark, 34 male, volunteered to host. He requested me to cook my spicy Italian sausage pasta and said that I could cook my pasta dish at his house. He even joked that he gets to keep any of the leftovers, which was fine by me. I agreed to this arrangement because his kitchen was equipped for me to cook my dish, and I didn't need to worry about transporting my dish. I arrived at Clark's house a few hours early with my ingredients in tow, along with board games from my collection. Yes, I'm a board gamer too. Clark's girlfriend of 4 months, Sasha, 32 female, let me in the house. I asked her where Clark was, and she said that he was out doing errands and buying snacks and refreshments for later. I proceeded to the kitchen to prepare the ingredients and start cooking. My cooking of the sauce went well. The flavors were balanced to my liking. It had saltiness from the pancetta and the parmesan rind, sweetness and tartness from the onions and canned and fresh tomatoes, heat from the Calabrian chilies, and herbaceous notes from a blend of fresh and dried herbs. After finishing the sauce, I took it off the heat and prepared a pot of water for the pasta. I then set the pot of water over the stove, but put it over a low heat. I planned to freshen up a little and cook the pasta nearer the serving time. I then went to the guest bathroom to shower and change clothes. After freshening up, I headed back to the kitchen. On my way back, I asked Sasha, who was in the living room, where Clark was. She said that he was on his way and would be back in 20 minutes. She then told me this: "Oh, by the way, I tasted your tomato sauce and it lacks salt. I saw this video and the chef said that the sauce should be just as salty as the sea. Don't worry, I've already fixed your sauce. You're welcome." I thought she was kidding, so I just responded with, "Thanks, I guess." I was also worried if she oversalted my sauce. I quickly made my way back to the kitchen to taste my sauce. To my horror, my complexed, balanced sauce was now as salty as the Dead Sea. I was fuming because my sauce was ruined by, in Gordon Ramsay's words, an idiot sandwich. She definitely misheard the advice from this video because you're supposed to have the pasta water as salty as the sea, not the sauce. I wanted to scold Sasha for ruining my sauce, but I had to fix my sauce first because my friends were bound to arrive in less than an hour. Unfortunately, I don't have the time or the ingredients to make a new sauce. I added a mix of lemon juice and honey, a can of crushed tomatoes, tomato paste, and splashes of water. I minimized the saltiness of the sauce, but the sauce was still off. I was thinking of no longer serving my dish, but my friends were excited about my food, and I didn't want to waste food. I just hoped that no one would notice how bad the sauce was. My friends arrived, and we all sat at the dinner table, and we all got a portion of each dish. While we were eating, I noticed my friends were pushing my pasta to the sides of their plates. Once everyone was ready for dessert, I offered to help Lexi prepare and serve the desserts. Lexi is also a foodie, but she's a baker, and she is excellent at making pastries and desserts. When Lexi and I were alone in the kitchen, she asked me why my pasta was so salty. That is when I told her everything. I then told Lexi that I'd let it go for the meantime, and we should just enjoy the rest of the night. I was doing so well to not show that I was bothered, but then Clark, along with Sasha, approached me and said that my pasta dish was saltier than he remembered. I wanted to say that his girlfriend ruined my dish, but I decided to allow her to own up for her mistake. So I told him that I had no idea what went wrong. I mentioned that I properly salted my food and tasted the sauce as I went along, and made it a point to say that my pasta water was seawater salty. But that has never affected the saltiness of my pasta dishes. When I said the pasta water thing, I made sure to look at Sasha. She did not say anything. I just ended the conversation by saying that I sometimes have my off days. The rest of the night went well. I even won some of the games, which kind of lifted my spirits from the pasta debacle. Before I left Clark's house, I asked him if he was keeping the leftovers. He said he was taking half, so I offered to take home the other half. It's been a week since the pasta incident, and I still feel disrespected by what Sasha did. I want to tell my best friend that his girlfriend fucked up my dish, but I don't want to make a big issue over pasta sauce. How would you go about this? In the comments, your girlfriend emptied the salt container in the sauce after I finished it. I tried to fix it, but, well, you tasted the result. Another commenter says, I'd have told the truth as soon as it came up. I'd also have told Sasha that I didn't appreciate her help. You should not have protected her, especially in the conversation with Clark. You should have outed her idiocy right then and there. Why didn't you? That's not being polite, that's being a doormat. Stop that. Find your spine and stand up for yourself. Now everyone thinks you screwed up instead of the real fact that his idiot girlfriend ruined it. I am now very angry with OP for not saying anything when the issue came up than I am with Sasha for staying quiet. Back up to the post, we have an edit/update. So I've been reading everyone's comments, and I would like to thank everyone for their advice. I generally feel uncomfortable with confrontations, which is why I let it slide and even took the blame. But now I realize that I should stand up for myself more, be proud of the work that I do, and I shouldn't be concerned about sparing Sasha's feelings, because in the first place, she disrespected me. I have to put her in her place. Some of you thought that she either hated me or was jealous of me. I have no idea if she does. In the 4 months Clark and Tara have been dating, I've only met her twice or thrice, and we didn't even interact much. I'm now even more compelled to tell Clark about what she did, because if she's able to disrespect the boundaries of a stranger to her, who knows what boundaries she'll cross with a romantic partner. I've messaged Clark to meet up without Sasha for lunch tomorrow, and he agreed. I'll probably update everyone after my lunch with Clark. And now, onto the update the next day. Thank you for all the comments and advice on my previous post. I met with Clark for lunch to tell him about last week's board game night. I told him that Sasha oversalted my sauce because of a video she saw, and I tried my best to fix it, but failed. I also allowed her to fess up, but she stayed silent. I apologized for lying to him by taking the blame for her mistake because I was afraid of confrontation, and I didn't want the rest of the game night to be ruined by throwing her under the bus. I was afraid he wouldn't believe me and that I was deflecting the blame back to Sasha. Instead, he said, "That makes much more sense." He then told me more about Sasha. When he met Sasha, she was trying to make lifestyle content. Currently, she wants to make cooking videos, but the videos she watched for inspiration were cooking hacks, where people were dumping dried pasta, raw meat, tons of cheese, etc. in a baking dish and then throwing it in the oven to cook. She saw the countertop spaghetti video, which she wanted to make for Clark's dad and sister when they were over at his house during the holidays. He refused to let her do that. Before we finished our meal, I told Clark to talk to his girlfriend and that I expect an apology from her and for her to also apologize to the rest of our friends for ruining last week's dinner. He asked me if I wanted to go to his place to get an apology now because Sasha was there. I declined because it would feel like we were forcing an apology from her by surprising her. After a few hours, I got a call from Clark. They got into a huge fight and they broke up. When he asked her to apologize, she refused and threw a fit. She was so annoyed that Clark would rave about me and Lexi's food, but never did the same when she cooked for him. He said that he always thanked and appreciated her efforts, but sometimes her cooking didn't go well. She served him raw chicken twice. In her rant, she said that her fixing the sauce was her way of saying that she was better than me, but when her plan backfired, she kept quiet and let me take the blame, and I dumbly fell on that sword. Some of you in the comments from the previous post were right, but what got Clark to break up with her was when she called Clark and our friend group a bunch of useless losers. He in turn defended us by saying that we were the most reliable, supportive group of friends he has ever had. We helped him get through his mum's terminal cancer diagnosis and passing. He told her to get out and that they were over. Clark assured me that he would be okay and he needed some space. I told him to call if he needed anything. It seems I won't be getting my apology, but that's what I get for not speaking up. Lesson learned. At least we won't have Sasha for our next game night, which I will host. In the comments, I'm glad that you told your friend the truth and she ended up exposing herself as a red flag. Hope your turn hosting game night goes well. And that, OP, is why you need to stand up for yourself and not expect other people to do it for you. Well done. Clark suspected already. This is definitely crazy that came from her, and you have cut toxic shit out of your friend group. Decent adulting. If there is a next time, call out the bullshit earlier. Those cooking videos where the people dump everything into a pan and let it cook are utterly disgusting. I've seen one where they dump store pasta, water, raw mince into a baking dish, and then add way too much salt before covering the entire thing with Velveeta cheese. They are utterly disgusting. You don't make friends by dead-seeing the bespoke pasta sauce, much like you don't make friends with salad. This is a lesson for everyone else as well to, stand up for yourself and don't take that bullshit. If someone fucks with your pasta sauce, you be sure to point that out. You be sure to make them apologize. You call them out to the group. Because more often than not, they're gonna do what Sasha did in this story. And no one likes a Sasha. Thank you, OP, for doing the right thing, taking the advice of the comments, and actioning it. You absolutely love to see it, and thank you for the story, OP. My best friend is broke. I've been offering him a job in the restaurant that I work in for months, and today he confessed he doesn't want to be a server because it's low and people would lose respect for him. I'm deeply offended. This happened just before. My friend is broke, he hasn't worked in over a year, he's running out of savings, and has even had to ask his parents to support him. I've asked him many times why he doesn't try to get a job that's not in his field. He's got a computer science degree, but has never worked in the field a single day in his life since graduating. He's turned down lots of jobs because reasons. They don't pay him enough, they won't give him a higher position right off the bat, etc. I'm well aware that he's deluded in that sense, but he has many other good qualities, and that's why I love the guy. So since graduating, the only job he's done is share marketing, something like online investing in Forex. He said he made about $20 a day and that it was enough for him. He's single, lives in a share house, and doesn't spend much. Whatever makes him happy, right? But the thing is, he's totally broke. I don't think he really is making even $20 a day on the shares because he's run out of money. He's stressed out and won't stop complaining about money problems. This is confusing for me, and I think it comes down to his pride not allowing him to get a job that's not fit for his ego. Now, I work as a server in a very nice restaurant, and I've offered him a job as a server many times before. I have a great relationship with my boss, and after telling him about my friend's situation, he didn't hesitate to say that he wanted to help and would like to offer him a full-time job. My friend has been turning it down for months, not really giving much of an explanation as to why. Today, he called me saying that his parents have cut him off and asked to borrow money from me. I said that as a personal rule, I do not lend money to anyone, but that he was welcome to start working tomorrow with me. He again turned down the offer, and I got a bit frustrated because I offered him a solution to his money problem, but he won't accept it. So we got into a bit of banter, and he finally confessed that he thinks being a server is low and doesn't get you people's respect. I told him respect is earned by getting off your ass and doing whatever you have to do to make ends meet. I asked him if he thinks that I'm low, and he backpedaled, saying he didn't mean that I, in particular, was low, but the job that itself was. He then straight out told me that nobody can respect me working as a waiter in my 30s. Wow. To be honest, I'm pretty upset. He thinks I'm low for working as a server? I got a degree too, but couldn't find a job in my field, so I had to take the first job that I could. I'm not some prissy prick thinking I'm too good to serve others. I take pride in being a waiter and doing a great job. I'm so hurt by his comments. Why is he my friend if he thinks that I'm low? I didn't want to say something nasty or get into an argument with him, So I only told him that he was being very offensive, and I felt like he needed time to think about what he said to me. He replied saying there was nothing to think about, and then gave me a list of low jobs like street sweeper, cleaner, etc., and said that it's a fact that those are low, not respected jobs. I asked him to apologize before this snowballed into a full-blown argument, and he said he stood by what he said. I don't want to overreact, but I don't know if we can keep being friends after this. I really don't know what to do. I don't want to badmouth him, but he should examine his life and learn empathy. I'm a very easygoing and forgiving person, but what he said hurt me and was idiotic. The man who refuses to work calling me low. I don't know what to do. In the comments, honestly, be happy that he didn't take the job, because with that attitude, he wouldn't have lasted long and tarnished your reputation with it. I don't want to overreact, but I don't know if we can keep being friends after this. Honestly, don't keep him as a friend. Doesn't seem that you get much out of this friendship anyway. Funny, pompous ass is too good to work as a waiter, but isn't above asking to borrow money from a waiter because he's too pathetic to earn a living to take care of himself. It's easy. Take the job off the table because it's not appreciated or respected by him, and it will only end bad for you and your generous boss. Don't lend your friend anything and let him figure out his problems on his own. Simple life lesson coming. He's broke, and yet he's being a choosing beggar. He is biting the hand that he is trying to get to feed him. If you value the friendship enough to continue being friends with him, fair enough, figure out a way to navigate it if you would like. But for me personally, if someone were to put me down in my face like this after asking me for help and asking me for money, I would be so deeply offended that I wouldn't want to be friends with them anymore. Unless there's a damn good reason to stay friends, I'd distance myself, slowly but surely. I think you should too, OP. And now, onto the update, the next day. So I made this post yesterday asking for advice on how to handle the situation with my friend. Basically, he's very broke and his parents have cut him off. I've been offering him a job in the restaurant I work in for months, and he's always turned it down. His situation got so bad that he came to me yesterday asking to borrow money. I don't lend money as a rule to anyone, but I told him that there'll always be a plate of food for him in my house, and he was welcome to accept the job offer and start working with me the very next day. Well, long story short, we had a bit of an argument, if you can call it that, and he finally confessed that he thinks that being a server is low and won't earn him people's respect. In an interesting turn of events, he called me today and said that he thought it through and had decided that he's willing to accept the job only with one condition, as if he was the one doing me the favor. That he is to be made manager right off the bat, and that he should move in with me so that I can drive into work, because the bus from his house to my workplace takes 35 minutes, and that is over an hour of commuting a day. He then suggested that I move my youngest daughter into my eldest daughter's room, so that's an empty bedroom for him in my house. So he obviously had given this some thought. I was dumbfounded. The sense of entitlement and the level of pride you gotta have to make those demands is astonishing. I know that he's never had a proper job, but he's not stupid. He has to know that you can't be made manager if you don't even know the names of their dishes or how to serve a coffee. It is all about his pride. He's got an ego bigger than I thought. He can't be humble enough to accept a waiter job and work things out from there. He needs to be made manager so that it won't hurt his pride as much. To be honest, I was so out of words that I said that I don't want to talk and hung up. I can't explain how off-putting that conversation was. I feel repelled by him. I feel disgusted, as if something has changed inside me. I can't have a person like him in my life. What makes a person refuse all help just out of sheer pride? My wife says that I've been patient and kind enough to him throughout the years, and I should let him figure things out on his own. He really is broke. Before his parents cut him off, they were covering his rent and bills, and he survived on the $20 a day that he claimed to be making investing in Forex. I know he barely eats and can't even afford a new pair of shoes, and some other stuff. I know he's got no money, but then why not accept the job? He's not shy, has no mental health issues, has no problem dealing with people. He's refused many other jobs in the past, even jobs relating to his degree, computer science. He's got the wrong idea that he should be given high-up positions right from the start because he is him, and that is what he deserves. That's the reason that he hasn't worked a single day since graduating like a decade ago. Anyway, I've got to do some deep thinking and reevaluate this friendship because I don't like the person that he is becoming. His dad is a bus driver and his mum a retired teacher. They are lovely, humble, down-to-earth people. I think they've done the right thing cutting him off. I know they're both struggling financially, so it's not fair for their son to leech off of them. His mother even had to go back to work doing some tutoring in order to make some extra money to be able to support my friend. I'd be so ashamed if I made my 70-year-old mother go back to work just so that I could be sitting at home dreaming of landing the perfect job while actively doing nothing to get one. Anyway, I'm rambling. Sorry, I'm just so mad. My wife says that it's time to cut the cord and distance ourselves from him. I think she might be right. In the comments, Philosophy says, "That's wild. Dude doesn't have any work experience and thinks a computer science degree with no practical knowledge entitles him to a managerial role. I wonder what he's doing now." Well, the same kind of guy who has a CS degree when those skills were in really high demand and highly compensated and favorable, but still turned down all the job offers in favor of being unemployed. Well, the trouble is, 10 years unemployed after graduating with a CS degree, no one will want him now. Even if he applies for a lowly junior IT job, people would rightly be suspicious of him. Plus, I doubt that he's kept up to date in the field. IT degrees age like milk. To be fair, most people will look unfavorably on people who haven't worked in 10 years, if it's not due to health reasons or taking care of a family member. Hell, here in Germany, if you haven't used your degree in that long, you're basically treated as if you don't even have that degree. Sure, it's better than nothing, but 10 years without having used that degree? Might as well not have gotten it at all. All the best to that one. You know, all the ego, none of the skills to back it up. I'm sure he's gonna go well. OP, your wife is correct in suggesting that you should distance yourself from this man. He does not sound like the brightest kind of guy. You know, I'm not the brightest kind of guy phrasing it like that, but he's worse than that. So yeah, listen to your wife. She is correct right now, and she is always correct. My bad saying right now, she is always correct. Our next post is by user CommunicationOwn884, titled, "At the End of My Tether with Adult Child." My son is 23 years old, recently graduated with a mechanical engineering honors degree and no college debt. He doesn't want to do anything. He's got a job at a bike shop for 2 days a week and doesn't work more than that. He just wants to go to the gym and sit on his computer and phone. He has 2 younger siblings who have drive and direction, but he says nothing motivates him. For years, I thought he was depressed, and he has in the past been on antidepressants and had therapy. His last recent bout with a therapist ended after 20+ sessions, and he told me they can't figure out why he is the way he is. Out of desperation, I talked to the therapist, who told me that he didn't think that my son was depressed, but things are hard for young men now, and he needs time. He's been tested for ADHD and is on medication for that, when he can be bothered to collect the prescription. He doesn't believe that he has ADHD, by the way. He has burned his bridges with friends and is burning his bridges with us. He makes his own meals and takes them to his room to eat, despite being told that he has to be a part of the family if he is here. We charge him rent, but made the mistake of telling him that we were saving it for him when he moves out. From this month, I am deducting money for bills and food. He is rude to his siblings, doesn't help out around the house, and doesn't do anything at all to contribute to the family. I want to give my son purpose, and we've tried everything, and I mean everything. I have spent countless hours talking to him, asking him how I can help him. He doesn't know. I've suggested that he take a year off doing volunteer work, or traveling abroad for a year, or working a shitty job until he figures out what comes next. He wanted to move to California, where we used to live, and live in San Francisco until he realized that he couldn't financially. I can't bear the thought of kicking him out, but I see no other option. I feel like we're being held emotional hostages, and the stress of it is unbearable. I am so upset that one of my children is like this. I feel in equal parts responsible and resentful. I'm terrified that if we kick him out at the end of this month, that he will end his life, sleep on the street, or never talk to us again. But I'm at the point where something needs to happen. It is ruining my life, my marriage, and my relationship with my other children. We have given him another deadline of the end of the month, but I'm struggling to make it that far. In the comments, so simple. Without the computer, he has nothing to do and boredom will motivate him. It has got to go. Not allowed in the house. Give him a week to wind up and notify any gaming friends, then it gets removed, period. You are done. He can have it back if he moves out. OP says, I removed his laptop and phone a week ago. He can no longer use them in the house. We thought he had a gaming addiction. Anything that makes more sense than someone who wants to do nothing, but his behavior since the removal has shown me that he doesn't have a gaming addiction. He has been more present. He watches TV with us in the evening, and he goes to a coffee shop to use his devices, but he's only ever out for 2 hours, and he hasn't applied to any other jobs yet. The commenter replies to OP, it takes time, especially with boys sometimes. I hope he gets inspired. Another commenter says, I'm in the same position I feel. I did what people told me to do. Admit I need help. I've been unmotivated for years. I sit in my room constantly. I only work 3 days a week, bare minimum. Shit, I didn't even graduate high school. I admitted to my doctor that I needed help. I was constantly feeling terrible about myself. No purpose. In my case, I feel like I've let my family down. I feel like I don't fit in with my family. They tried talking to me about it, and all in all, just victimizing me basically. Just asking me dumb questions like, why am I depressed? I don't know. Part of it is purpose. Nobody needs me. If I disappeared today, sure, people might be sad, but nobody needs me. This might not be what your son's going through, but I thought that it might help to get a perspective from someone in a similar situation as him. But to be honest, he's doing way better than me. I'm 23 as well, living at home. And OP replies, Hi there, and thank you so much for responding. It is really helpful. You sound very much like my son. I have no idea how to motivate him, and we're down to the wire. Perhaps having to put a roof over his head will be the motivation that he needs, although when we talk to him about that, he says he doesn't care and he will be homeless. It's hard to know if he's serious or being immature. He's never made any real decisions his whole life, and for one reason or another, we made some for him. We shouldn't have. We should have let him fail earlier on, but his dad couldn't do it. Now my son doesn't know how to make decisions and has spent so long alone in his bedroom that he doesn't really know how to operate in the real world. This is why I'm worried about kicking him out. But if we leave things the way they are, he could still be living at home age 30, 40, and he isn't nice to live with, so it's not something that I'm prepared to do. That same commenter says, yeah, in my case, I know I'm down shit's creek right now, and it hasn't gotten better for a couple years now. There's so many things that I want to do to improve, but honestly I don't know where to start or what to do. So I just end up doing nothing. Going to the gym was one thing that I started doing recently to try and give myself some drive, something I have to go do and keep doing. If he's at least gymming consistently, maybe he's trying to find something no matter how little, to try and be responsible doing. To decide to do something and stick with it offers some gratification, but I have a hard time sticking with anything lately. I spent most of my time as a child alone. So now, being alone is the only time I feel safe. It's the only time that I can guarantee my environment. Like I said, this might be entirely different from your son, but these have been my steps to try and improve myself first. If my family kicked me out now, I would feel even more rejected. Just trying to figure out where I should start, honestly. Hope maybe some of this is similar to him. OP replies, is it that the tasks, like making friends, getting a job, moving out, seem too big? I think this is a part of the problem for my son. My son goes to the gym 6 times a week. He gets up at 5:30 each morning to be at the gym by 6, and he works out for 90 minutes each day. Then he comes home and makes his vegan breakfast, then he showers for an hour, then he has a snooze, then on a good day, he might go to a coffee shop for 2 hours, but that's only because I won't let him use his devices at home anymore. This is my attempt to get him out into the real world. Then he'll come home and rest. Then he'll maybe watch TV or be alone in his room, and well, you get the picture. Most people behave this way on their vacation days, not 5 days a week. He works 2 days in a store and he really enjoys it, but they have no more hours for him, and he won't or can't be bothered to get a job elsewhere. Stick with the gym. Maybe you could try heading to a coffee shop too, but take your damn headphones off. You're shutting the world out. This is quite a hard one, and for me, it's another one of those situations where you can't help someone that doesn't want to be helped, and they're only going to change if they want to change. And as we can see from these two people, sometimes that's not even enough. Even wanting to change and actively saying that and being like, I don't want to be like this anymore. I want purpose. I want drive. Sometimes that's not enough, and that is incredibly frustrating. My headcanon theories in the past have been, well, structure will help a lot. Go to the military or go into the army or something for a bit. Do reserves. You'll get structure. You'll get social spaces. You'll get, achievements and all of this. You will feel passion for life in some way or another. But at the same time, the military is not for everyone, and a lot of people that have had bad experiences there will be like, that is the worst advice you can give someone. Don't throw them into that hellscape if they're not ready and they don't know what they're doing. And to that I say, okay. Because what helped me out when I was in a rut like this was motivational speakers like Gary Vaynerchuk. He was genuinely the top dog of the 2017-2018 era where I found myself down and out. I was working just Uber Eats non-stop, and I was listening to podcasts of Gary Vaynerchuk, and that got me out of my rut. It took like 2 to 3 years to find purpose in my life. I went through the same thing as these people did. But I wouldn't advise people to start listening to Andrew Tate and a bunch of motivational quote-unquote speakers that we have today, because I don't think they're gonna be motivated in a productive way. I don't have the answer for this one, and I feel terribly for those that are in a similar situation to this. I think I lucked out and found the things that worked for me in this instance. I just hope that others are able to do the same thing. And now, onto the update on the same thread. OP here. I thought I'd provide an update. I really stuck to my guns over the laptop and phone usage, and after a week or so of sulking, or adjusting, still not sure, my son decided to go on antidepressants. At the same time, he started to experience more of the world by just hanging around us more. My husband made him go to the office with him every single day to look for a job. My son did the bare minimum, but eventually my husband found him a job that looked interesting, and he applied and got the job. It's just a job, not a career path, but it's changed our worlds. My son now works full-time and has kept his old weekend job. He now works about 10 days in a row, then gets a day off, and by choice, with his first paycheck last month, he bought some new clothes, the first in several years, and some accessories for his bike. He's now planning on what to do with his next paycheck. He is also making friends at his new job and goes biking with the guys after work. He's found his passion for biking again. I cannot stress enough the utter relief that we feel. I can now sleep at night and I no longer worry about him. Sure, he needs to figure out a longer-term plan, but for now we can sit back and watch him discover the world again, and that it's actually quite a nice place. And this is OP's comment on another post that was titled, How to Get My Child Moving in Life. Parent of a child in a similar situation until I took action. My husband took the same stance as you, that nothing much could be done. We disagreed to the point of real marital stress. I had an epiphany and waited until he left for a business trip and then tackled the problem. My house, my rules. I removed my son's computer, phone, and all other devices and stored them off-site. 23-year-old threw a fit and stayed in bed for 3 days and didn't move. I checked on him to make sure he was alive, took him coffee and food, talked calmly. After 3 days, he got out of bed, sulked, and went back to bed again. This time, I did nothing. No food, no water, no conversation. He stayed in bed in a dark room and wallowed. I, of course, was worried and checked for movement, but no more than that. After a few more days, he got out of bed and said that he didn't want to live like this anymore, agreed he needed a change, agreed that he needed antidepressants, and started hanging out with the family. I gave him his phone only when he left the house. Want access to the internet? Go and get it. I will not provide it. That was in January of this year. By March, he was several weeks into antidepressants, he was regaining a relationship with his siblings, he was no longer as angry, and he had a job. Full disclosure, my husband found the job, applied for the job for our son, but my son got the job. He's been working ever since, has made friends, and goes cycling. Our lives have all changed because of it. You can do more. You can give her purpose. Stop facilitating her lifestyle, take away her internet access. It could be the motivation that she needs. Good luck. I know it's hard. And now to the latest update. OP here again. I want to provide an update for any parents in the same boat who stumble upon this thread. It's been a year since my original post, and our lives have changed unrecognizably for the better. After my son started work, his confidence grew and his self-esteem improved. He had purpose. Over the last year, we kept revisiting the move, and sometimes things got heated, but we stuck to our guns until we gave him a hard deadline. The deadline came and we made him leave the house. It was so hard. We didn't sleep for 2 days, and my husband caved and asked him to come back. The shock of us making a move into a hotel had the desired effect. It took several more months and lots of reminding, but he eventually found a place of his own and moved out last month into his own place. He is now living independently just a few minutes from his work and is loving it. He enjoys earning money and paying his own way. He has experienced buying a washing machine, learned how to plumb it in, and understands that sometimes you have to take a day off work to accept deliveries. He's learning that no one's going to unpack the boxes but himself, and that if he wants food, he has to go and buy it, even if he's tired. We offer our help and have of course helped a lot, but we haven't picked up any pieces. This is all on him. And best of all, our relationship is getting back on track. He comes over every Sunday for dinner, hangs out, and catches us up with his news. He is feeling so good about himself and loves standing on his own 2 feet. In the comments, the final hex says, "Turns out many people are weirdly happier and have more purpose when working even a crap job versus no job at all. I dream about playing video games most of my working shift, and I resent having to spend the best part of my life slaving away at my desk. But if I'm unemployed and just fucking around, those video games don't really keep me entertained. It's just something to do to pass the monotony of doing nothing important. But I treasure my time playing when it's after work and my wife and I are just playing side by side. I think this sort of hopeless, unliving existence is on the rise, at least in the US and Western countries. Lots of young people just don't have lives to start. Our economy is fucked, there's no reason to believe that hard work will ever pay off in the way that we were promised, and pure distraction is pushed at us from every screen. And there's a lot of screens around. It's also definitely a privileged affliction. People who don't have parents who can subsidize their non-existence obviously have to work enough to pay for their essentials, even if they're still depressed or purposeless. I think it also stems from the disparity between how middle-class kids expect adulthood to look and what living in our society is actually like. If you expected to get your degree, immediately get a solid job, and begin pursuing a spouse and family, hitting the real world today must feel like crashing into a brick wall at speed. I have family and friends stuck in this same sort of hole, and it's terrifying to see someone you love trapped in what seems like a type of suicidality. They don't feel like there's any point in living, but They're not miserable enough to actually take action to harm themselves, so they live in a constant feckless fog, trying to distract themselves out of the pain. My takeaway from this situation is that if anyone needs me, it is me. I need myself the most, and maybe I should take antidepressants. If it was that good for him, it's gotta be good for me, guys. 4 episodes a day when I hit the antidepressants. It's gonna go crazy. But this was a very good outcome, and I'm glad that OP is using this to push the message of don't give up hope. I've done it, you can do it too. That's amazing to see. My husband just came out as straight. So we've been married for like 3 years and dated for about 2. In total, 5 years of a gay relationship. We are 2 men, have always been 2 men, and I don't think that's going to change anytime soon. My husband and I have had a rather healthy relationship for the most part. Of course, we have minor arguments every now and then, but what relationship is perfect? In the end, we always resolved them, and our affection would continue as normal. This is kinda why I'm really confused by what's going on with us. Why now? I'm a Christian. I know a lot of people don't like the idea of that, but gay Christians do exist. My husband was agnostic, not necessarily an atheist, just wasn't completely on board with any religion. And that's fine. I would have supported him if he found peace in literally anything. He didn't need to become a Christian, and honestly, as selfish as this sounds, I wish he didn't. I know this makes me sound like a terrible person, but he changed so drastically afterwards, and I miss the man that he used to be. It was a slow start. He asked me about verses from the Bible, we went to church, he even fasted for Lent. Christmas this year was much more than just presents, and I was happy that I had this piece of me to share with him now. I was raised religious and struggled with my identity. If it weren't for other queer Christians, I would have left Christianity. I was glad that I still had these things that we could bond over, but it kept ramping up. All of a sudden, he's going to church more than I am, which is perfectly fine. Is always carrying a Bible with him, and will randomly cite a verse when we're having a political discussions. I've noticed that his views have started to shift towards the right as well, and recently he retweeted someone saying, "Your body, my choice." You're a twink. Women's reproductive rights don't concern you in the slightest? It kept ramping up. He started agreeing with the whole LGB minus the T crowd and started spewing harmful rhetoric about drag queens, as if we aren't friends with a bunch of them. When I told him that drag queens are much less likely to harm children than some pastors, he lost his shit saying that I was a heathen and that his friends were right. This is the part that caught my attention. What friends? I asked him what he meant by that, and he started backtracking, saying that he was tired and that we should go to bed. I was tired, and arguing didn't seem like it would do us any good right now, so I put a pin in it, and we got ready for bed. Our room has a bathroom connected, and usually we keep the door open. He takes a shower and makes sure to lock it, which was weird, but I didn't say anything about it. If he wants to set this boundary down, that's fine, but he could at least communicate it, you know? The next day is a Sunday, and he's already out of bed, and I'm assuming at church. I get up and got ready, but once I arrived, I realized he wasn't there. That confused me, so after the service, I called him asking him where he was. He tells me he's in church, but I told him that I was here too and I didn't see him. He clarifies he means the other, I'm not going to say the denomination because I don't want to cause any arguments, church. This was news to me, especially because he never brought it up and still carried our Bible. I told him to send me the address and I'll pick him up so we can get brunch, but he tells me that he doesn't want his friends seeing me. That hurts. I asked him if we could at least meet up, and he said he'll see me at home. After a few hours, he finally comes home. He said we need to talk, and I agreed. I wanted to ask him why he didn't want his friends seeing me, and as I opened my mouth to ask the question, he said, "I'm straight." I stared at him for a bit and he continued, explaining that his church helped him realize he wasn't going to see the kingdom of God if he continued living in sin and that he needed to leave me as soon as possible. He told them about the pastor comment that I made last night, and they said that I was a devil trying to lure him away from Christ. He started repeating a lot of the same rhetoric that I heard from other Christians growing up, and it really upset me. He even said that I could be saved, and that I already had the traditionally masculine look, and that I just needed to steer away from homosexuality. I feel like I'm in an alternate reality right now. I'm being told by the love of my life that I'm a devil that needs to return to Christ because I shut down his homophobic rhetoric. My gay husband is being homophobic. I'm sorry, but not once in the 5 years that we've been together did he realize he was suddenly straight. It just doesn't work like that. It's not like we're in some other universe where comp homo is a thing, right? I told him that he needed to leave and that we could discuss arrangements afterwards. I still want him, I love him, but I have no idea how he could look at me with a straight face, and tell me all of that. He started arguing, saying that he didn't want to leave and that we could be friends. So I told him that I wouldn't be friends with a self-hating queer for the life of me. He packed a bag and he left. His location shows that he's at some random house that I've never been to, but I assume that's one of the churchgoers that he's friends with. I don't even know what I'm supposed to do from here. Did I seriously just lose my husband? I don't understand how this could happen. What can I do now? I miss him already. In the comments, Blue Boy Dragon says, "Dude, the best thing you can do is let him go. This is a really tough situation, but it's past your control. Do yourself a favor and let him leave. He's not worth it. You deserve somebody who loves you for you." Agreed. The worst thing that OP can do is try to force it. There is no changing someone's mind on these things. Yeah, it sounds like he's in a cult now. Totally a cult. He didn't join a church, he didn't find God, he's in a cult, and it's disgusting. OP, is he close to his parents? Are they accepting of him? Call them. Call all of your mutual friends. Maybe he can be pulled out of this. I'm not sure you'd want to continue with him, but other people need to know who he is. Also, make copies of your marriage certificate. I'm willing to bet that he's told his new friends that he's always been straight and you're trying to change him. A copy of the marriage certificate and some pictures of the wedding and your last 5 years ought to make them turn on him. Maybe they'll throw him out. It might make him see sense. Lady Lovecraft says, "The only thing you can and should do right now is think about your safety. Install cameras, make sure a trusted friend or family member can access those at all times as well, and give them access to your location. Do not go out alone. Go to different grocery stores at random and take different routes to work, the gym, etc. It sounds to me like your husband has gone off the deep end, and it wouldn't surprise me if he would try to harm you, or worse. I could see him and the other right-wing religious nuts that he hangs out with create a fantasy that you made him gay and should be punished for it. Save all the messages and emails, and I would try and get a restraining order out as soon as you start to feel unsafe and/or if he starts threatening you. Even if you don't get the restraining order, there's going to be a paper trail. Speaking of paper trails, if you have someone close to you that you can trust, make sure they check in on you often. If you usually get home at 6, let them know that you are home. If you're going to go shopping, let them know. Always keep your location on. Change all of your passwords, make sure your bank account is private and secure, make sure your husband can't access your location, social media, emails, etc. If it is at all possible, can you temporarily stay with someone that you trust? Even better, someone your husband doesn't know the location of. OP replies, "I don't think he'd try to physically hurt me. I'm stronger and we're Canadian, so we don't have to worry about firearms, as drastic as that would be. I will try to find someone to stay with though. I don't like sleeping in our bed alone. I just don't know how to tell our friends. I know they've noticed the changes too, but this all just sounds insane." I don't even know what you do in a situation like this, but I definitely think distancing yourself from him is the safest thing to do. And taking all of that advice and actioning it. The world's a bit of a crazy place right now, and you don't need to unnecessarily put yourself in harm's way if you can avoid it. I'm scared myself to think about what these people will do to him if and when they realize he is a gay man and has been gay and married for the last 5 years. That is a scary thought. And now, onto the update, 5 days later. Thank you to everyone who gave me genuine advice on my last post. I'll quickly answer some common questions. No, he does not have a family history of bipolar disorder or any other mental health disorder that would cause sharp changes. No, he isn't cheating on me with one of his church friends, but I will get more into this later. No, he isn't bi. I'm bi, and we've had conversations, and he said that he experimented in high school, but it wasn't for him. I talked to his family and our friends about the whole thing. I explained that we were separating because of his newfound faith and how he is acting. I told them about the shit that he said, and they're all worried for me. I don't think that I'm in any sort of danger, honestly, but I did talk to my church about this, and they told me that the church that he's attending is notorious for this sort of thing. One of them will show up after a service and wait outside, and if someone is walking out alone, they'll come up to them and start chatting. They'll pretend they go here until they've talked to the person enough times to invite them to their church. Apparently, he was attending my church even on days where I wasn't, so he was alone a lot. It is really effing predatory, and it low-key pisses me off that he was enjoying my church, and it led to him being taken away from me. I've had limited contact with him in the past few days. He came over last night, saying that he needed to talk to me. He didn't appreciate me contacting his parents and assured me that he is fine mentally. I wanted to start asking all the questions that I've come up with since he left, but I didn't want to overwhelm him. I know he didn't cheat on me because that was the first question I asked. More so, are you leaving me because there's somebody else? His response was that he didn't want to leave me, but living in sin isn't what he wanted anymore. How did he figure this out, you ask? After grilling him for an explanation, he finally admitted that he tried to cheat. The guy who kept coming to my church and basically recruited him was apparently so attractive that he would listen to anything that he said. So he tried to cheat, failed, and went the full 180 and has decided that being gay is the ultimate sin. Not the fact that he tried to have an affair. This is actually going to drive me crazy. Finding out he wanted to cheat but didn't is almost worse, because it's like, seriously? You tried and got rejected? That's embarrassing as shit for you, and doubly embarrassing for me. I asked him if they knew that he was married to a man, and he simply told them that I was his gay roommate who turned him, and now that he's straight again, I've gone off the deep end. He's an actual fucking liar. He's showed me some Bible verses, ones that were just blatantly different from the ones in mine, and kept trying to convince me that I need to change too. He said that he still cares about me and wants to be friends. I asked him what about our actual friends, and he said they're too far gone. He just kept talking, and I was done with it. He isn't the man that I fell in love with, and it pisses me off. He wasn't even dressing the same anymore. Fucking white dress shirt and slacks, and the most boring hairstyle ever. He didn't look like my Anthony. The more he talked at me, the more it was clear that I didn't want to be with the man that he is now. He left, and for the second time in our life, he walked out that door without saying I love you, and I was fine with that. This morning, I talked with my lawyer, and I'm going through with the divorce. After I was done, I stopped by where he was staying and knocked on the door, half wanting whoever owned the place to be there when I gave him the papers, half because I didn't want him coming to my home anymore. When the man opened the door, I realized this is who he was talking about, and it took a bit to keep my anger in. I asked for my husband, and when he saw me, the look in his eyes made it clear that he wasn't expecting this out of me. I made it clear to the other guy that I was handing my husband, my gay husband, divorce papers to end our marriage, the gay one between two men. Us. We are the two men, because I don't know who needs to hear this, but if you wake up next to a man for 3 years out of your life, chances are you're a homosexual. Sorry to break it to you. I won't be able to go into the details of the proceedings themselves, but I'm going to completely distance myself from him as best I can. His actions have been horrible on my health, and his family and friends can handle him better than I can. I'm going to miss the man that he used to be, but I have my people surrounding me. I'm going to be okay. I hope that for his sake he will snap out of this one day, because the self-hatred isn't healthy, but when he does, I won't fucking be there. In the comments, Take a Break 128 says, he is not straight. He's gonna marry some dumb church lady and hit up Grindr like the rest of the hypocrites. So glad that you got your side of the story out there, because he's painting you as a villain in his. So on brand for these cults. My condolences. Better is out there waiting for you. OP, as the trope goes, no one is more zealous than a convert. You may have known people who quit smoking or drinking and suddenly become super judgy about others doing those things. So for him, it's this religious thing, and presumably some of the guilt that might come with it if he's not attending a more inclusive church, which is a thing that exists and probably should be where you're attending services. It's unfortunate that this is where he's at, but if he's going through with a divorce, it's in your best interest to get over with it and move on. It's not easy, but you can do this. The sooner you get your mind around the marriage being over, the faster you'll be on the road to recovery. So sorry this happened to you. And Vegan Vampire Bat says, I'm so sorry you're going through this. You were married and he was acting like a person having a mental break. It was totally within your rights to call his parents. He will end up marrying some poor woman from the church and cheating on her constantly. I hope you meet a nice person who you can build a better life with. I just want to know what's going to happen to him now that they know that he is gay. That's one that I don't have too much information on. I feel like everyone knows that, he just goes and marries someone and cheats. That's been repeated ad nauseum, but are they going to cover that up and be like, hey, I know that you're gay, but you're not gay anymore and we're going to convert you. We're going to set you up with a nice, devout woman, and it's going to be great. I don't know about all that, but hey, good luck to him, I say. And thank God you got out of there when you did, OP. I'm glad that you're not in danger. Thank you for the story. Our next post is by user ThrowRA2007X, titled, My 18 female, pregnant sister, 26 female, thinks that I was insensitive after I didn't accommodate her chair preferences. Can I get advice, please? So it was my grandma's birthday last Sunday, and my parents hosted it at our house since it's the biggest and can accommodate all of our extended family. I have 2 older siblings, my sister 26 and my brother 29, but they're both out of the house now. Both of them married, and my brother has a little boy who is 2, and my sister is 7 months pregnant. Dad and I got up early at 5 a.m. to help my mum with all of the setting up and the food prep because there was going to be around 20 people coming over plus kids. We removed the fancy dining room chairs and placed them up in my bedroom because Mum was worried about the kids getting stuff on them. It happened before and was a mother fricker to clean. And we replaced them with the regular chairs that we have for events like this one, but we did leave out 2 of the fancy ones downstairs for my grandpa and grandma since they're both elderly and they would be more comfortable for them. No one batted an eye at this when they came over, but my sister had a frown on her face but didn't comment. By the way, it wasn't the first time the setup was like this, and no one has a problem with it. Anyway, by the time my parents and I sat down to eat with everyone at 2 p.m., we were dead on our feet and I just wanted a nap. After the lunch and clearing up the tables, everyone was scattered around the house, a lot of them were watching the kids outside, and I was helping my grandma to the bathroom. When we came back, my sister was sitting in Grandma's chair, and when she saw us, she got up in a huff and commented that we should have kept all the fancy chairs downstairs. I told her why we didn't, but she just rolled her eyes. After a bit, I was helping my mum bring out dessert, and my sister was sitting on a regular chair, and she sighed loudly and asked me to go upstairs and get her one of the fancy ones. I just looked at her and ignored her because by that point, I had a headache, I was bone tired, and was ready for the whole day to be over. She got up and followed me and told me again, and I told her that again, it was Mum's decision, take it up with her. She didn't want to. My brother, who was also helping at that point, also told her to drop it because he could see my annoyance. She did not like that and told him to stay out of it. After the cake was cut and pieces were making rounds, I sat down to eat my piece, only to have her take it away and ask me again, holding it hostage as if I were a kid. I suppressed the urge to smash it in her face and told her that they're in my room, have her husband go get her one, and to leave me the fuck alone. If it gets dirtied by the kids, then it's on her to explain to Mum. She perked up at that, but asked me to go get it since he was eating cake. I was done. I got up, kissed my grandma and grandpa on their cheeks, excused myself from everyone, and went up to my room and locked my door. My brother-in-law tried going up after like 15 minutes to go get the chair, but I turned a deaf ear to his knocking. The next day, I got a text asking why I tattled to Mum when all she wanted was to be comfortable and I was being insensitive at our grandma's birthday. Funny thing is that I didn't tell Mum because she had enough on her plate. It was my brother, and my mum had apparently had a talk with her because of it. Even though it happened days ago, I'm still annoyed, but I also feel a little bit guilty and think that I overreacted a bit. In the comments, Eorek says, "Love to you for helping grandma to the bathroom. Being pregnant is uncomfortable, but if the chair she was sitting on was so uncomfortable, a quiet word with Mum about getting a different chair is what she should have done. Hey Mum, my back is killing me these days. You mind if whatever his name is goes upstairs and gets me one of the other chairs?" Oh, come on, that's too simple and mature of an answer. She probably knew that her mum wouldn't like it, say no, or make a fuss, so thought that harassing the teenager was better for her. Yeah, I'm worried if she cannot speak up now, how is she going to handle kids? They are demanding, and you need to be able to advocate for them and yourself. Well, it's not that she couldn't speak up for herself. She was just using the chair as a way to make her younger sister do her bidding. Total power play. Why did she not ask her husband to get the chair from the start? Why was that responsibility placed with you instead of him? I would fill your sister in that her tantrum was witnessed by many, and you weren't the one who tattled to your mother. You didn't overreact. Her behavior was entitled and rude. Well, because it wasn't about her comfort, it was about messing with OP. I, for one, think it's time to revisit the dynamic of your relationship with your sister, OP, and start setting up some tough boundaries. You were nothing but reasonable here. You went above and beyond reason to kind of settle what the hell she was starting. But she was having none of it. She continues to not see reason, and she tries to, say that you tattled to your mother. Oh, I'm sorry for standing up for myself. I didn't know that was a crime. I'm sure there's good reason for those chairs not to be out in the first place either. I'm sure she understands why those chairs wouldn't be out for her. She's just being a see you next Tuesday. She's looking for a fight. Who knows what's going on in her head, but that is not your circus and not your monkeys. I'd just block her for like a week or two, or even a month, and let her deal with her shit if I were you. And now, onto the update. Hey Reddit, it's been a while, and since I was asked for an update, I thought that I'd give one. Not much has happened, but I did learn some new information regarding my mum and sister. So, after I got the message and spoke with my parents, I decided to send her a blanket apology. Just, I'm sorry to her message, because I didn't want it to become a thing between us after I move abroad, and I wanted to leave with a clean slate. Mum and Dad threw me a going away lunch with just our family, siblings and spouses, and this is where it got a bit weird. Usually, we'd sit in the dining room since it can accommodate 8 people on the dot, 7 adults and toddler nephew, which Mum swaps out his chair for a regular event one, but we sat outside this time with regular patio chairs. Mum claimed that it was because it was sunny, but she doesn't like the sun and had Dad set up an outdoor umbrella. Anyway, she didn't let me lift a finger this time and made that very clear when my sister and brother-in-law showed up. It all read pettiness to me, especially since my sister made a comment about the chair that she was in and my mum told her that it's what's available in a very try-me tone. My sister did not try her, but she also scowled through most of the lunch and refused to interact with my nephew, claiming she was tired, although all he was doing was showing her his crayon doodles. She was very abrupt with him and raised her voice, which pissed my brother and sister-in-law off, and my brother refused to hand her anything for the rest of the day. I realize how dysfunctional we sound, but oh well. It's what I was born with, and I'm thankful for everyone regardless. Once everyone left, I asked Mum what that was all about, because it wasn't subtle at all, and that's when Mum told me what's been happening with her and my sister. Mum had offered to help my sister out for a month when she gives birth, and my sister had agreed, but then she changed her mind because her mother-in-law is coming instead. Mum was fine with that, although I think she was a bit hurt, but she moved on. Then, my sister didn't like that I'm moving a whole country away, although she's known that I was since before she became pregnant, and she complained to Mum. Mum shut her down because it's my decision and my life. Then she started asking Mum to come clean her house because she was tired, and Mum did go after her work a couple of times a week for like 3 weeks. Not consecutive, but then she realized that it was becoming a pattern, so she stopped. My sister had also been asking her to send homemade food and such since she was getting nauseous when cooking, but it was also a pattern, so Mum stopped. My sister complained about Mum sending my nephew a monthly plate of his favorite cookies, family recipe, and sister-in-law doesn't make it right, confirmed by my nephew spitting out every batch that she attempted and wagging his finger at her. So it was basically tiny things that built up and had pissed her off after Grandma's birthday. Is her behavior weird? Yes. Is Mum's any better? Probably not, and neither is mine for that matter, but I've accepted it, and I'm just glad that I won't have to deal with it at all, unless it's on a major holidays now that I'm in another country. As someone pointed out in my DMs, the baby will need a good luck, Charlie. In the comments, Off Kira says, your age and your sister's really seem switched. She acts like an immature teenager, and you seem like a perfectly normal, to me, 26-year-old, which probably speaks to deeper issues in your family dynamic. You did nothing wrong, and yeah, all the luck to this kid because damn. Gosh. Reading all this, I think I stand by my assumption in a last post that your sister wants to be babied and taken care of during her pregnancy, has high expectations. Her husband isn't meeting them, so she's outsourcing the issue, or taking out the issue, onto her other support people. It wouldn't surprise me if your sister doesn't threaten to take baby access away from your mum if she doesn't babysit on command. It sounds like she may have wanted you to be an on-tap babysitter too, or she's jealous that you're doing something that she can't. People like your sister annoy me. They make pregnancy an illness. Everyone should bow to their demands. What she's doing and had done to your mum is awful. She's wanting servants, not parents. Good for your mum for having your back. Look, I won't say that pregnancy is not incredibly demanding of you physically, emotionally, and mentally, but it doesn't excuse or explain at all this see you next Tuesdays behavior and actions, just completely taking advantage of everyone. I still stand by what I said before. I'd block her for a significant period of time because that is some bullshit. But I know that would cause some drama. I know that would, disrupt people's access to the baby. But I think in this case, you're moving overseas. You're not going to be in touch with the baby all that much anyway, maybe over FaceTime if you want to. But that moving also presents another factor, because I think distance makes the heart grow fonder. Maybe if she doesn't have to be in your presence so much and can't expect babysitting of you, she'll be a bit more reasonable to you, though, she might put more expectation on those around her in the meantime. All in all, she sucks as a person. I hope that she wakes up to herself and stops being a see you next Tuesday, but I'm not counting on it. Thanks for the story, OP. Very much appreciated. Am I the asshole here for using information against my mother in court that I know will destroy her emotionally and mentally? I, 34 female, am involved in a very dramatic court case with my narcissistic mother and stepfather. First, a little backstory. When my sister was 1 and I was 3, my mother initially had custody. However, she had gone missing for 4 days, but leaving my sister and I in the home alone. Investigations were done, and we were raised by our father. There was a reunification plan, however, my mother did not follow any of it, and her parental rights were terminated. No one had ever talked negatively about my mother growing up or told me what happened. So when I was 20, I found my mum and decided to develop a relationship with her. Big mistake. After reuniting with my mother, I discovered quite a bit of information that I previously had not known. She is a narcissist, diagnosed formally, specifically vulnerable narcissist. My stepfather has BPD, diagnosed formally. This past decade has been torture, faked cancer. I was made to shave her hair. I had to pay them to watch my 2 children, constant arguments, just too much to name. In 2022, my parents decided to move 15 hours away for a get-rich-quick scheme involving flipping homes. I decided to stay in our hometown because my youngest child's father died, and I wanted to stay close to his family, plus I was already in a year-long relationship. My mother was enraged. After she had already left, she tried everything to get me to move up with them. She asked me how much money to break up with my boyfriend, got me fired from a job, wrote posts online about how mean I am, texted my oldest about me, sent me hundreds of messages each month, etc. This had been going on continuously for about a year. Earlier this year, I was served paperwork. My mother and stepfather are suing me for grandparents' rights. However, no court date was ever sent. My oldest child goes to her father's every break, and when she came back from summer break with him, she was acting very different. I found out that my mother and my child's father had been close in contact for about a year and a half, had my daughter speak with my mother, see my mother, and recorded videos of her that my child did not know about. I have sole legal and physical custody, so needless to say, a huge argument happened, and I'm now restricting any visitation. As a result of this incident, my mother and stepfather set a court date for a month from now. So here is why I ask if I am the asshole here. For court, I plan on using text messages where my mother said that my stepfather is a danger to children, text messages from my daughter's father stating my mother is psychotic and he would never give our children access to her, and my mother's court records. My mother has over 140 plus charges on her record in 5 different states. My stepfather knows none of it. I'm also using the fact that her parental rights to me were terminated, so legally she has no rights to my children. My concern is that knowing that she's a narcissist, when I use these documents in court, it will humiliate her and probably turn my stepfather against her. I do worry that it's going to trigger a horrible reaction from my mother, possibly the worst. I wish my mother no harm. I just want to be left alone and protect my children. I've been no contact this whole time, hoping it would stop, but it hasn't. I'm feeling so conflicted. In the comments, Bendy Biznatch says, "Be aware. CPS cleared me after my mom called them on me, with one caveat. If I let my mother back in my kids' lives, CPS would take them. Further, that my letting a known child abuser, my abuser no less, around my children was an indication that my parenting choices were in question." OP says, "I'm glad you were cleared. Gives me hope that I can get through this too. I'm staying no contact and have no intentions in ever engaging again, which is why I also told my oldest child's father that he will not see her until further notice because he will let my mother around my child. If I can get a restraining order, I will. Just trying to get her out of my children and I's life, but with limited fallout. Looks like I can't avoid that, unfortunately. Unfortunately, when dealing with narcissists, the fallout will always be big. That being said, once they have their epic flameout, they tend to just dwindle to the background. I don't know why you care about humiliating a woman who has no issue doing the same to you at your children's expense. If her life is ruined, then she did it to herself. You're just the time bomb she set off that did her in. You already have grounds for a civil harassment restraining order. Just submit the reams of internet harassment that you've received from her. OP, not telling the court about her criminal past and all of the issues that make her a danger to your children would be enabling her. Bad for your kids, for you, even for your mother. If your stepfather doesn't know about all the dark stuff, then he should. You are under no obligation, moral or otherwise, to keep their warped secrets. You are under obligation to protect your daughter. I lived with a professionally diagnosed narcissist for a whole lot of years. I understand why you were hesitant to anger your mother, but you can't good girl your way out of this threat to your child. Don your armor and go forth to tell the truth. I'm wondering why you remained in contact with your mother once you discovered her issues. OP replies, "I often ask myself the same question. I've never dealt with anyone like her before, and I never lived with her, so I didn't experience a lot of this wrath until I defied her wishes. I wasn't raised around her family, so I didn't know anyone else's experience. I also didn't know a lot of the criminal stuff until I hired a private investigator. The mental illness stuff should have scared me more, but at the time, it didn't. Now that I do know everything, I can never let my kids near them again. Night Connor asks, I'm curious why you would even care what effect this would have on her. You intend to present evidence-based facts that are entirely pertinent to a legal proceeding that she started involving the care and safety of your minor child. At no point should you be considering how that information reflects on her relationships with anyone else in her life, because that is not irrelevant here. OP replies, I didn't specify in my post, but I have 2 half-siblings, from my mother, that are being put in the middle of this as well. So part of me is concerned that my mother will destroy my relationships with my half-siblings who I am close to. My mother is the type of person who would attempt suicide and write a note saying that I made her do it. While I do not want my mother in my life, I do want my half-siblings, but I guess I just need to put that concern aside and maintain focus on my kids. Yeah, look, you were ignorant of what she was like, and I don't blame you for that. If this is your first experience with someone or some group of people with this magnitude of mental illness, that's not your fault. We all make mistakes and we have to learn through failure. You obviously know what you're doing, and I don't think you're the asshole here for using information against her. As people have said, it would be counterproductive not to. If they're suing you and they're going as far as dragging it through the courts, I would say that is enough justification to use all the ammunition she has given you. Embarrassing her at this point, humiliating her, is the least of your worries. And now, onto the update. So I finally have an update on my situation since I last posted about 5 months ago. Court was postponed twice by my mother for reasons I don't know. Then it was postponed for a 3rd time due to accusations that I was an unfit mother and my daughter had suicidal ideations. My mother asked the judge to appoint a guardian ad litem to make sure the children were safe. Court was rescheduled to March 2025. The past 5 months have been nothing but researching my mother. I found she had a total of 19 active warrants, including 3 probation violations. I turned everything over to my lawyer in hopes that something would work. 2 days after discovery was turned over to my mother's lawyers, my lawyer called to let me know that she officially dropped the case. My children and I met with the guardian ad litem, and they told the judge that they see no issues whatsoever. After over a year of fighting this, it is finally over. It's been such a tough battle, but I'm so happy that my kids are safe and will never have to go through what I have. Thank you to everyone who wrote me personally and commented such positive things. You all have no idea how much it helped me, especially when I was having such an internal struggle. My kids are doing better than ever, and I'm grateful that we pushed through. More info. To answer some comments, I've already moved several states away, changed my contact information, and have been no contact for 3.5 years. I'm currently working on getting a restraining order, but have been advised by my lawyer that I may not get granted one due to the lack of proof. That's frustrating, but I'm still trying anyways. My daughter and I still had no contact with her father, and other than a very strange Darth Vader text, we haven't heard from him. He is also a couple of states away from us. I also have my daughter in therapy, so I'm hoping she learns how to have better boundaries than I did. I'm not going to call the different areas about her warrants yet. My thinking is that she won't make any big moves against me as long as they are active and I know about them. Something I can hold over her head, just in case she tries something again. I know it's probably not over, but this was a huge win. In the comments, the MCP says, contact all the venues for which she has warrants and tell them where she is and how they can find her. Let them take care of it from there. If OP reported the warrants to her lawyer, as an officer of the courts, they are mandated to report the fact that they know. Whether this happens or not, if the warrants are out of state, or are there some in state, who knows? Lawyers do have expectations of confidentiality, but that's only in regards to those paying their bills. The mother wouldn't be covered. What an incredible update. Your strength in fighting for your kids is truly inspiring. I'm relieved to hear the guardian ad litem found no issues. What kept you motivated throughout this journey? OP replies, "Thank you. What kept me going was my kids and wanting to break the cycle of toxicity for them. They deserve the world. Hopefully they will have better boundaries and not find themselves in a similar situation." Calm Beneath Castles replies, "Where narcissists are concerned, no contact only gets better from here. They're like a cloud of poison gas. To be in contact is to be harmed. I'm 13 years past the point of no contact, and I feel better than ever. One really can't start the healing process soon enough." OP replies, "Congrats on 13 years no contact. It's been 3.5 years for me, and I'm staying that way. How did you handle the narcissist turning people against you if you experienced that? Did your narcissist ever try to punish you for going no contact? That's what's currently happening to me now. It's retaliation for taking control of my own life and cutting them off from my children. Do they ever stop? It's been exhausting constantly looking over my shoulder and not knowing who to talk to and trust. Any other advice?" Disappointment Captain says, "I think it's most likely an extinction burst. The tantrums get way worse to see if they can provoke a reaction out of you before they finally get tired of getting no response or realize there is no point. You're cutting her off from her current supply of drama. Eventually, she will turn her energies to a new one. It should die down with time, fingers crossed. And don't forget that anyone who is close enough to her to hear her complaints about you likely has enough history with her to either take what she says with a huge grain of salt or will eventually find out the hard way, when she turns on them too." And Old Ninja says, "Please do not ever have contact with your mum and your stepdad again. Also, that ex seems to be a jerk too. If your mum starts harassing you, just make sure to document, video, record, and file a restraining order against her as baby daddy included your kids. That would be best." People continue to amaze me. This absolute psychopath with 19 active warrants is like, yeah, the best thing to do right now is to take her to court. The judge, the law, police. I should put myself right in front of them with my legal name, come out of hiding, and try and fight this little petty, frivolous thing where I'm being insane. My narcissism will shield me from the consequences of my 19 bad actions. My 19 mistakes will surely not come back to haunt me. Hopefully, OP goes for that restraining order after all of this and keeps them out of her life. It sucks to have to learn the hard way, these kinds of ways, but it's good to have at least some neutral third parties like Redditors to give you an idea of what you should do next. Thank you for sharing the story, OP. I very much appreciate that. Our next post is by user MajorDirt6675, titled, "Am I the asshole for defending my wife after my sister tried to kick her out? My wife and I are both 27. I live with my sister, she is 26, we both live in the same house. The house we live in, we inherited from our grandpa. And we decided that instead of selling it, we should live in it as it is quite big, and maybe in the future we will sell it and earn some profit. But nowadays, my sister and my wife fight quite a lot, and it's mostly me who breaks them off. My sister does not like my wife, and she said she doesn't like her because she does nothing. She doesn't have a job, she just sits all day because maids do all the work. Yesterday, my sister asked my wife to leave. She said she's tired of her. I said my wife's not going anywhere, and why does it matter if she's not working? Our bills are paid, and my wife working wouldn't make any difference. She said that my wife is just a freeloader. I told her that if she has a problem, then we should sell the house and move on. But my sister started crying, and she said she's trying to help me and my wife, but I don't listen to her concerns, and instead, I just become aggressive towards her." In the comments, Fuzzy Mike says, "As soon as I read that you and your sister and your wife are all living in the same house, the root of the problem was clear. Sell the house and move out is the sensible solution. Better than trying to force a living situation that is precariously built on optimism. You, your wife, your sister. None of you wants to live where you need to watch your P's and Q's whenever you're in your home. Home is supposed to be where you don't have to show your public persona. You and your sister have set up a situation where both of you have to do that. Your wife too. She agreed to this. Ending the living situation is better than ending the relationship with your sister. Not the arsehole. It's time to sell the house. Or if your sister wants to stay, she needs to buy you out. You got married. How you and your wife choose to navigate your marriage is your choice, not your sister's. But it's clear these two women cannot live together. So you need to decide what to do so you can all have some peace. Your sister should not be made to feel like there's a freeloader in her home, and your wife shouldn't have to feel unwelcome in hers. I think OP's sister is the asshole, not because of how she feels, but because she constantly argues with OP's wife, trying to control her. And then she gets upset when OP said they should sell the house, because the asshole sister then has no chance of getting her way. I think OP should sell the house, obviously. It's too much pointless drama. I do think the sister is being antagonistic towards the wife, hoping to run her off because she doesn't like her, but it's really irrelevant. If he is fine with what his wife does or does not do, that is no one's business but his. He needs to end this living arrangement. I think if you guys can afford to have maids in this house, you can probably afford to change the living dynamic in one way or another. I agree that the sister is the asshole in this situation, and that is more than enough justification to take action now. You're not the asshole for defending your wife, but I think the writing is on the wall, and you guys need to get up and do something about this. And now, on to the update. So I've been thinking about this issue for so many days, like what would be the best way to resolve the issue with my sister without hurting my and my wife's bond with her, because I don't want to lose my sister over a house. So I decided that I will move out with my wife for now, and my sister lives in the house. Yesterday, I told my sister that I'm planning to move out with my wife, and she lives in our home, and we will decide later in the future whether to sell or buy the other half. My sister got upset and said she doesn't want me out of the house, and she doesn't hate my wife. She just doesn't like that my wife does nothing while we're both working our asses off. To calm her down, I said that she can keep the house, and I will give up my claim over it, but my sister said that I'm making it all about the house when she's trying to help me because my wife is just a freeloader. I told my sister that if my wife doesn't want to work, then she doesn't have to. I will take care of her, and I am moving out, and she can keep the house. My sister said, do whatever you want, and now she is upset with me and ignores me. I'm looking for another place, but I don't get why my sister is upset with me when I have done everything I can for her. What did I do wrong? In the comments, Even Ad says, to be honest, the sister seems more upset about your wife than the house itself. She probably feels like she's losing you to someone she doesn't respect. Give her some space, but don't back down from your decision. She'll either come around or she won't, but that's on her. Sister sounds like she wants to be OP's wife and be able to not have to work. Big jealousy issues. Or that she's even in love with her brother. They are adult siblings and are entitled to have adult relationships with their spouse. The whole desperation the sister has for him to stay is weird at that age. Like really weird. Bingo. I think she's jealous of OP's wife's lifestyle more than being in love with her. She is resentful that she has to work and her sister-in-law gets to do what she wants all day. OP, this isn't about the house. This likely has to do with a building resentment against your wife. It's unclear if it's due to how bills are handled, i.e., her paying half when she should only be paying 1/3, or something else, i.e., jealousy over working her ass off while sister-in-law sits around all day doing nothing. Figure that out. Further, something else to consider, if you unexpectedly passed away tomorrow, could you guarantee that your wife would be able to continue living the lifestyle that she has become accustomed to? If the answer is no, then you are doing a disservice to your wife and should consider talking to her about getting her butt in gear and working towards something that can allow her to support herself in the event such a situation occurs. Even if you both move out of the house, that should be considered. I doubt your sister would be so generous as to support her financially should something happen to you. I feel like this is one of those stories where if the other person were to tell their side of the story, it would paint a whole other picture and answer a lot of questions that the OP is omitting from their post. Right? The first thing I imagined is wife being home all day, every day, while the others work. The house will start to feel more like it's the wife's, if only because she's there all the time, using the space in a way that suits her, and the others are out working. Wife probably has habits based on certain rooms she uses at certain times of the day. If sister takes a sick day, wife is there on the sofa while she's watching TV. It just gets exhausting to share a space with a roommate who doesn't have to be anywhere else, unless the person who stays at home doesn't actually stay at home. And now, onto the final update. So I read a lot of the comments, and a lot of people were asking how do we split the expenses. So for clarification, I pay approximately 70% of our bills. My wife's personal expenses are paid by me, and I try my best not to burden my sister. Things like electricity, water bills, etc., and paying maids, I cover more than half. So after I told my sister that I'm moving out with my wife, she stopped talking to me for a few days, and I started looking for another place, at least to stay temporarily, because I realized my wife and my sister cannot live under the same roof. I found an apartment nearby, and 2 days ago, I told my sister that I'm moving out in a few days, and my sister started crying and said that she doesn't want me to go because the house is mine as much as it is hers. I told her that I don't want to move out either, but I'm facing a situation where I have to choose one of you, and I think it's best if I move out with my wife and she stays in the home, which is best for all of us. My sister said she has no problem with us living together, she only hates the fact that my wife does nothing, and my wife should work and help us. I told her if my wife doesn't want to work, then she doesn't have to, and I don't mind that either. She's a housewife, and I told her if she doesn't want to work, she doesn't have to, I will take care of her as well. My sister said no to my proposition, so I told her that she can have the house and I'll give up my claim over it. She said she will move out as well because she doesn't want to live alone in such a big house, and when we decide to sell, I will get my half. She's angry at me, and she's sad. To be honest, so am I. My sister and I have been together for as long as we remember, and now we, as siblings, are splitting. I wish there was another solution to our problem, but I can't find a way to please both of them, and they fight with each other, and I don't want to choose one over the other. So it's best if me and my wife move out, and I visit and spend time with my sister on weekends or holidays, or whenever possible. In the comments, Flomojo Blow says, they need to sell the house, or one buy out the other. Rip the Band-Aid. It's like Sis has been using OP as a surrogate partner and gotten so comfortable that she thought she had the right to interfere in his relationship. The only choice was to sell since she doesn't see anything wrong with her behavior. They can use the funds to buy their own properties, or at least pay a good portion of it. It's ridiculous to say, well, if you move out, I don't want to live in a big house alone, so I will move out as well. Just put the house on the market already. At the end of the day, it's not your sister's business if your wife works or not. She may not like it, but it really doesn't matter, and the only reason I can think of for her to obsess over it is that she is jealous. And even if your wife decided to work, would it even be enough for your sister? Yes, she works, but only part-time, and I think she should be working full-time. Or, yes, now she works full-time, but it's an easy job, so she should get a more stressful one like mine. Tell your sister that green is not a good color on her, that she needs to mind her own business, and I hope you will be happy with your wife in your new place. Yeah, I think the sister is getting way too comfortable involving herself in the relationship. OP is being horrendously generous. Being like, it's okay, I don't want to fight with you, I understand that you don't like my relationship dynamic. That's okay. You're welcome to have your opinion, but can you stop sharing it? And she's like, no, you don't understand. I'm gonna keep sharing it until I see some change in your relationship. I'm sorry, but only deranged people think that way. There's only so much generosity you can extend to a sibling before you have to cut the apron strings and say, I don't like what you're doing to me. I don't like what you're saying to my wife. I don't agree with your point of view. I want to remain cordial with you, but your actions and words are making that really difficult right now, and I have no choice but to remove myself from your life, much to your chagrin, and to my own chagrin. Everyone's chagrin. This story frustrated me. I hate that this sister just didn't give up, didn't want to offer any solutions besides force the wife to work. Like, I get it. She's privileged. OP is a very privileged person to be able to extend that lifestyle to her, but who are you to decide their relationship dynamics? To me, it just looks like the sister doesn't want OP to have a wife, doesn't want him to have a family other than her. You're not allowed to do anything if she can't control you. Your sister is always going to move the goalposts and nothing is ever going to be enough unless it's just you and her living in that house and, she is happy and content with you being there. She needs therapy and she needs to work on her attachment issues. She has major, major problems. Good luck, OP, and thank you for the story. My wife returned from a work retreat with a hickey. She swears that it's a bug bite, but I'm not convinced. I'm at a loss. How do I move forward? I, 27 male, had a fight with my wife, 28 female. We've had fights before, but not this bad. I'm at a loss on how to proceed. For context, we are college sweethearts, married for almost 6 years. We have a daughter, 4 female. Our relationship was never perfect or without challenges. We faced some family opposition with cultural differences, but we've made it work. She's my first love and my best friend. My wife works in corporate. Her job has annual work retreats that last for about a week. This year was in Vegas. I usually arrange my work schedule and tag along with her, and we make our own trip out of it. But we couldn't this year. Our daughter gets major anxiety traveling long distances. We're working on it, but she wasn't budging, and we decided to choose our battles. So I stood behind and held down the fort at home. The change of plans was a bummer because the trip was a part of us reconnecting as both a couple and as a family. My wife's work hours have taken a toll, and her work-life balance leaves much to be desired. We entertained the idea of her skipping the retreat. Attendance is optional, but it's generally frowned upon if you don't, and my wife is making connections in her field. She grew increasingly weird. We have a system if either of us is away for extended periods, we keep in contact. For the first day or so, she was herself, but she grew distant. I would even text her about important stuff and be left on read while she claimed she never saw my text. Whenever we talked, she was rushing me or our daughter off the phone. These were all times that she wasn't involved in retreat activities. We were supposed to have a mini birthday celebration for our daughter over FaceTime. Our daughter was excited. It was something that my wife promised her because the retreat overlapped her actual birthday. But my wife backed out because she had people up to her room after a seminar. It was like she wanted my permission to break her promise to our daughter. I told her that I wasn't offering that, nor making her keep her word. She said I wasn't being fair and that this was a networking opportunity. They were business-oriented and wouldn't understand her stepping away for family time. I said her decision is her decision, but she would have to explain it to our daughter. She promised her that she would rain check the following day. Our daughter didn't understand and cried. My wife ended up hanging up and leaving me to comfort our daughter alone. That whole incident rubbed me the wrong way. I didn't like it. She didn't keep her word for the rain check either. She was documenting the retreat on social media. One coworker, 23 male, was almost in every picture and video attached to her hip. In one pic, he had his arm too comfortably around her in my opinion. He's a recent hire in my wife's department. She was asked to oversee him. I don't like the guy, he doesn't know boundaries. Once, in response to a work assignment, he texted my wife that she's exactly the kind of woman that he needs to keep him in check. My wife had brushed it off. She feels bad for him because he's not fitting in. She took him in under her wing during his first retreat with the team. If I had questioned, she would say she was tired or networking. There was always something. But I've seen her at these retreats. This wasn't like her. She was just off. The day before her return home, she complained about a bruise on her neck. She stressed that it was a bug bite. I didn't actually see the bruise until she came home, and I instantly thought that it was a full-on hickey. She kinda brushed it off after making a big deal of it over the phone. I didn't push because our daughter was present. But when I was able to confront her, she clung to her bug bite claim. When I kept pushing, she asked what I was trying to imply. I outright said that I believed she had a hickey, and I didn't believe that she was being honest with me. We had it out then. She was offended and pissed at the accusation. Infidelity has always been a sore topic. Her family has a history of infidelity. So we had a pretty bad fight, and she accused me of looking to pick a fight due to the incident with our daughter's birthday. I told her that it had nothing to do with that and everything to do with a hickey on her neck. The fight ended in an impasse. We are still not recovered. She swears it's a bug bite, but I'm not convinced. I've always trusted my wife. I've never doubted her, but this bruise doesn't look like a bug bite. It looks like a hickey. I only feel more strongly when I consider how distant and weird she was during the Vegas retreat. Now she's been wearing turtlenecks ever since, and we're caught between arguing and her dousing our daughter and me with affection. Communication usually prevails for us, but not now. I think my accusation pushed us to a new level of argument. I'm at a loss here. I really need outside perspectives. How do I move forward? In the comments, Sraken says, I've been to Vegas and never saw a single bug. It's like dry as fuck, desert-like. Not saying they aren't there, but it's not like she was in the Mayan Riviera. This is all super sus. Don't let her gaslight you. She's clearly got a hickey, which is dumb as fuck in itself, probably from the idiot who's too inexperienced to know what he was doing, and preemptively came up with an excuse, knowing what it would look like. Out-of-character behavior, neglecting her daughter, new young guy hanging off her, that's in the photos she knew you could end up seeing? What about what you couldn't see? Eyebrow-raising texts. 4 big red flags. Something fishy here for sure. I couldn't imagine bailing on my daughter's birthday for networking, then the hickey, and the preemptive explanation that it wasn't one. I don't know. Something doesn't add up here. She's clearly full of shit. Damn, first the bug bite and now she's constipated? That's some terrible luck. I was just in Vegas for work last week. It was cold when we were there. No bugs anywhere, much less something that would leave a mark like that just on her neck. At the very least, you need to work through her distance at the retreat. I couldn't move forward without significant transparency with her phone. If she refuses, it's a big red flag. I'm not saying it's impossible, but I've never gotten a bug bite that looks like a hickey. Did she show you her phone or provide any proof that could support her innocence, or just dismiss you? The extra affection is a common move from guilt-ridden cheaters. Even if we stretch the imagination and believe that it is a big bite, she wasn't acting trustworthy, nor was she a good mother while she was in Vegas, and she needs to address and correct that. OP says, no, I haven't had access to her phone. We usually have an open phone policy, but it's not something that we've ever really done. I'm sure that it will be another argument. And Fun Concentrate replies, might be worth the argument. Has she been hiding her phone? It's obvious that he's cheating on her, guys. Like, come on. I'm kidding. OP, I think it's worth another argument. I think checking her phone is worth another argument. You have an open phone policy. You might as well. You're already accusing her of cheating. But like, at this moment in time, it might be too little too late. After that first accusation, you need to get in there quick. Now that she thinks that you're hot on her tail, I'm sure she has deleted the evidence. At this point, I don't even know if it's worth checking it. I myself would check it privately. But you're probably better off listening to the advice of others and just tackling the other problems surrounding her being a bad mother. And tackling a bit of her love bombing that she's doing with you guys there. And now, on to the update. So I wanted to give an update and thank everyone who reached out. The outside perspectives helped. Things are a roller coaster. I'm trying to process. It took a while for my wife and me to have any real conversation about the bruise on her neck. We were stuck between arguing and her showering our daughter and me with affection. I rarely saw the bruise because she was turtlenecked up, but I did note the healing process from reddish purple to yellow. There wasn't any more discussion about the Vegas retreat. She made it clear that she was done talking about it and that she shouldn't need to defend herself to her husband. I told her she could do whatever she wanted, but I was done being treated like an idiot and I wasn't sharing a bed with someone that I couldn't trust. So I moved into the guest room. Communication stopped. The silences were palpable. Even our daughter noticed. I'm not proud of that. I try keeping her out of fights. My wife came to the guest room one night and asked if we could talk. I could tell that she had been crying. She said she hated the way that things were between us. She felt like she was losing me either way. I told her that I needed complete honesty. She confessed that she hooked up with that coworker on our daughter's birthday. The hickey was from him. She was lost in the heat of the moment and didn't realize he was sucking so hard on her neck. By her account, they made out while doing some on-the-top-of-the-clothes stuff, and he went down on her. It stopped there because he called her by a nickname that I affectionately call her. It snapped her back to the reality of her actions. She went to splash water on her face and saw the hickey. The guy made light of it and made a joke about the hickey being her souvenir. She blew up on him and kicked him out of her suite. Part of the reason that she was avoiding me was out of guilt. She said she's coming clean because she doesn't want to hide things anymore. I asked her why she cheated. What was it about the guy that she deemed worth risking everything? She claimed it wasn't him specifically, nor is she unhappy with our marriage. She doesn't really know how to explain it, but a part of her feels broken. The more she looks in the mirror, the more she sees her dad, 57 male. A cycle of being consumed with work, distant from child, and the infidelity that he put her mom, 55 female, through. She said that her family never talked about anything openly, and how when she was growing up, my mother-in-law never addressed anything with her. I said her parents didn't make her cheat. She chose to party up with a guy who constantly disrespected our relationship. These were all her decisions, and she at any point could have chosen our family. She agreed. She wants to blame her parents, but realizes this is on her. She apologized for cheating and entertaining the guy's advances. She said she'll do whatever it takes to repair. Go to HR, quit her job, counseling, anything. She wants to make everything right. I told her I don't know what right looks like or if that's even possible for us anymore. I knew we had our problems, but I thought there wasn't anything we couldn't talk out. She insisted we still could talk it out. We didn't have to give up on us. She tried giving this rally cry for our relationship, but I felt numb. I said I didn't recognize her. Not just the betrayal of our vows, but also how she treated our daughter. She's like a stranger. She feels like she's failed as a wife and mum, but she loves us both beyond words and wants our life together and our family intact. I told her I couldn't give her the answer she wanted and thought that we needed to separate and reevaluate. She didn't want separation. She felt like we should stay together in our home, but I told her that a separation was happening. Either she was leaving the home or I was with our daughter. She consented to leaving so as to best not uproot our daughter so much. She asked for our daughter not to be taken away from her. My wife is staying with my in-laws. I know that's difficult in itself because she doesn't have the best relationship with her parents. One of the hardest parts is the shift for our daughter. Right now, she believes her mom is just busy with her work per usual. She hasn't questioned it too much. My mother-in-law called the other day, and she made no excuses for my wife, but she's advocating for us to work through it. She told me times when she heard my wife describe me as the anchor that she always wanted. She believes there's something worth fighting for if I'm open. Despite some family opposition that we faced throughout our relationship, my mother-in-law was always a supporter of us. I'm even more at a loss. I never imagined this kind of betrayal from my wife. She was my safe place. I feel numb, yet broken. I'm in love with her. That hasn't changed. But I don't see myself, her, our relationship, or our family the same. Everything's more tense because it's fresh. I think this period of separation is for the best. I'm not sure about divorce. I haven't let myself fully go there. I'm not set either way. I don't know where things go from here, but I'm focusing on our daughter and taking things one step at a time. I feel that's all I can do right now. Thanks again to everyone for the support. It is much appreciated. In the comments, Ellie96S says, "Do you think she's still trickle-truthing you? How would the coworker know your nickname for her? Good luck onwards." Edit, OP, also think about this part of your comment whenever your wife tells you that she is sorry. Cheating on you is one thing, but your wife's behavior towards her daughter is sickening. Yeah, you don't get to disconnect from being a parent, especially to a minor, for extended holidays. You certainly don't ghost them on their birthday, and when you promise to do something special for them and got the child excited about it, or hang up on them while they're crying. Knit Like a Boss says, "I was just on a work trip with a coworker who has a couple of little kids similar in age to OP's. He had arranged his travel times to make it easier on them and raced back to the hotel to call them every night. Nothing about how the wife is acting is normal or okay." Someone else says, "When my wife or I travel for work, we give each other full permission to check the hell out. But if the kids are missing their traveling parent, we are always available. She does a lot of DoorDashing delicious food, watching shows, and sometimes going to bed earlier. I like to get local beers and kick back in the room and watch movies that I don't usually get to watch with the chaos at home. I'd say normal doesn't necessarily mean obsessively checking in or completely isolating from social experiences while traveling, but there is absolutely a level of involvement that you don't have with coworkers when you're married, even while traveling. When that's blurry, it's gonna always end badly." Cranky Southerner says, "Ask her if she would be open to reconciliation if you had cheated with a coworker, hurt her daughter, gaslit her, and made her feel like an idiot for questioning you. Also, if you think it stopped at him going down on her, I have a bridge in Brooklyn that I'll sell you super cheap." Yeah, when I read that part, I was like, the trickle-truthing begins. The dramatic moment where she realized her mistake and instantly regretted it because she truly loves her husband and family. It's just like in the movies. She was manipulated and she lost. She stopped it all just before the worst possible part happened. I'd bet money that she was perfectly fine with it all until she saw the hickey, and that it's been going on for months. The hickey just made her mad at the inconvenience and made her try to up her lying game. It's all smoke and mirrors, and it's disgusting. If her daughter's tears didn't change her mind, then no way some nickname stopped her. I'm glad I'm not the only one who doesn't believe that things stopped there. He used a nickname that made me think of you, and it made me snap out of it, is a messed up way to paint her as a victim and a hero. I know I could never trust someone after this. Trust aside, I would never be attracted to someone who betrays their child for a dick appointment. Yeah, blowing off your child's tears just to get your back blown out is diabolical work. The amount of gaslighting and manipulation coming from her is genuinely disgusting. I don't believe a word she's saying. None of it is true. None of it is believable. Keep her out of the house, OP, and get that divorce sorted. Because if she can lie about this to your face, what else is she lying to you about? The trust is gone, and there is no way to come back from this one. There is no way to go back to normal. She has proven herself unworthy of your trust and unworthy of the love of you and your daughter at this point in time. She can always try and redeem herself with your daughter in the future if she wants to, but I don't think you should forgive her for this, and I don't think you should give her a chance. Nothing good could ever come from that. Thank you for the story, OP. I hope it all goes well for you. Our next post is by user SmallRuin2385, and it's titled, "Am I the asshole for cutting his daughter off and taking away the things that I was doing for her after she had some type of relationship with a woman that her father cheated with? I, female 29, usually stay with my boyfriend Carl, male 38, on weekends. He lives with his daughter, female 16, when she's in due to joint custody. He works a job that he hates because he has no opportunities for growing his career, so 7 months ago, he started a company with an associate, Gabby, female 35. She's definitely successful and knowledgeable, so my concern was what would happen if she ever decided to cut him off. I'm mentioning this because his contribution to their association was to bring clients, but not technical or anything. For the past 5 months, he's stayed out late while working on their plans. I never had any reason for doubt or suspicion until he went to meet her on a Sunday afternoon. I didn't say anything because I know starting a business requires lots of effort, but it's odd to allow an associate to interfere with family life. 2 weekends ago, she showed up and berated him for cheating on her. We were hanging out at his place with his 2 brothers, mother-in-law, his daughter, and sister-in-law. Gabby showed up knocking at the door while Carl was in the shower. I started getting weirded out when his family seemed hesitant to answer the door. His brother finally went to talk to her, but she walked past him and confronted me. She asked about our relationship, and I'll admit I was a bit rude because I got defensive. His older brother went to get Carl, and it all turned into a shit show. At this point, I'm disgusted, and I don't know who was the real girlfriend and who was the side chick. Also, it's worth noting that she accused his family of betraying her. Carl remained vague when I demanded some answers, and I felt like slapping him, but I controlled myself. She stormed out after an ugly exchange. I broke up with him the same day and haven't been able to find my way back into a good mental state. I can't believe anything he says, so whatever he explains will be a lie. This is where I might be the asshole. I made the decision to pull my support for his daughter. I had been paying for a makeup subscription box, but I cancelled it. She was getting her prom dress as a loan from a friend of mine who has 4 girls. I told my friend what happened, and we agreed that his daughter doesn't deserve any of my help. I also kicked them both out of my streaming services and will not help with a history school project, nor will I keep her in my magazine subscription plan. Carl reached out trying to discuss what I'm doing about his daughter, and he said she's just a teenager and she shouldn't pay for his mistakes. I agree that she has no power to keep him from doing bad things, nor to keep him from being a liar, and I know that she wouldn't be in a position to tell or warn me that her dad was cheating, but she's almost 17 next month, and she's very mature, and she's definitely capable of telling right from wrong, and she had 0 problems getting stuff and receiving help and favors from me, and was comfortable asking for things. She's not a brat or a demanding type. She low-key asked for stuff, and I was happy to help. I'm sure she also benefited from Gabby because it makes sense, since I'm under the impression that Gabby was no stranger to her either. I told him, let Gabby do it. And he tried to complain about how Gabby vandalized their website. She took their page down, and all it shows is a black screen. He says she locked him out of all of the logins, and supposedly had all of her contacts block him. The only thing giving a little bit of joy right now is imagining him naked and holding his balls out in the cold. Am I the asshole? My friends are divided over this, not because of him, but because they say that she's just a teenager. In the comments, Next Effect says, please just block him and his entire family. They all knew and nobody told you. Not the asshole. This, you don't need to engage with Carl, his daughter, or anyone else associated with him. Just be done. It sucks, but why would you continue to help out someone else's kid? Tell Carl that she's not your kid, so maybe her father should start paying for some of this stuff so that she doesn't feel like she's being punished. Block him. It's not her fault, but it's not your responsibility either. If Carl made half the effort earning a living as he did trying to get his dick wet, he could afford things for his own daughter and have the time to help with her history projects. He can pay for everything that OP stopped funding except the dress, and he can just go buy one. He's the parent, not OP, who has been more than generous. If he had spent less time screwing around, maybe he'd know more about his own business. Yeah, what everyone else is saying here, OP, it's best if you just block everyone and have a clean and fresh start from this point onwards. It's not worth the effort, it's not worth the fighting. Just go live your life as you deserve after all of this chaos. He is one of 2 parents that could be paying for the things that you have decided very graciously to pay for, and you're under no obligation after all of this bullshit when she could have told you much earlier what was going on, but no, she decided not to. And everyone in the family decided not to. They don't get to keep getting money from you when they fuck you over, like that's not how life works. Good for you, not the asshole. And now, onto the updates. Thanks to everyone who took the time to reply. I think the consensus was about his daughter. I will not be contacting her at all. I reached out to Gabby via social media, and she replied. I explained my position and that I didn't know about her, hence I was very rude and reacted with hostility. We exchanged messages. She says that initially, he told her that we were in an open relationship that was about to end. They were talking for months before they began their relationship. She says he first introduced his kid, then his younger brother, and that she met his mum when Paul invited her for lunch and had his mum show up without telling her. Also, she said that his mum was less than friendly and that his mother made a small scene because she decided to pick a fight with her boyfriend. He and mother-in-law are currently broken up. There's no way that she's making this up. Mother-in-law treated that guy like shit. About his daughter, Paul used to visit Gabby on some weekends and would leave his kid at Gabby's place because they bonded over DIY projects. Now I know where his daughter got her fairy, witchy, fantasy, elf, polymer clay jewelry, and hair accessories from. So I guess his working on weekend gigs was a lie. She said they became a couple about a month or two after starting their company because she wouldn't accept an open relationship. He told her that we were done, when in fact we had never broken up, had a crisis, nothing. Gabby mentioned that her dad fucking hates him, and that things began to get rough because of things that he did and her dad noticed. She says she and her dad and other family members always meet for Saturday dinner or Sunday brunch at a particular restaurant, and that her dad noticed how she paid for Paul and his kid, always. And if Paul ever paid for his food, he didn't pay for hers. She said her dad called her out because her dad would usually pay for everyone, his treat, his family, and that he was getting very uncomfortable about Paul, and that he paid for Paul to avoid making a scene, but that he was fed up. So her dad told Paul that he expected to be treated for a change, as a hostile joke, when they arrived at the restaurant, and that Paul was very offended and later told her that her dad's remark was a put-down. She also said that her best friend raised concerns about him and that everything started to crumble because he didn't attend her family's Christmas lunch, as he promised, and that he remained a bit low-key during the holidays and claimed to have influenza. He used both of us, but he took far more advantage of her because she made material things available, and while I don't know her, except for this situation, her messages show that she is very affected, but mostly angry. And I wouldn't be surprised if she ended up destroying him. She repeatedly mentioned that he deserved getting his life ruined, and I didn't know that Paul didn't get an MBA like he told me. He never worked 2 jobs that he told me about and also put in his resume. She found out because she paid for background checks and other tools when things started not adding up. Supposedly, this was part of why she started testing his abilities and had been thinking about pulling the plug business-wise. She says it's all bullshit and that he's very insecure about his social standing. She told me a lot of stuff, but in a nutshell, I'm going to get tested for STDs and have already told my family what happened. I'm leaving it at that because writing about it really irritates me for being stupid enough to believe him. Thanks again. In the comments, Professional Park 791 says, "This whole situation is a masterclass in why you should never ignore red flags. The dad lied about everything, his relationship, his job, his education, and somehow still had the audacity to act offended when people didn't cater to him. The daughter is just a casualty in all of this, but wow. Imagine finding out that your dad's not just a cheater, but also a full-time con artist. Hope OP gets tested and then blocks everyone involved." I mean, is it possible that the girl's just always done this? I knew a girl in elementary school who casually mentioned that her daddy had 3 wives, and when asked, she admitted that she never even thought to mention it to any of his other wives because all of them knew her, so obviously they knew about each other. Obviously it's a bit different because she's like 17, but maybe she's been so used to it that she doesn't view it as strange. I hate to assume that a kid is bad, I guess. Not the arsehole. You were never stupid. He was just a master manipulator who juggled lies like a full-time job. The fact that both you and Gabby saw through him in the end says everything. I'm glad you're prioritizing yourself now, and honestly, he deserves whatever karma has in store. Congratulations. It's very easy to be misled and gaslit by a partner. My ex did it for several years. It was only after the divorce that I even found out there was another man. He moved in 3 months after. Hopefully, Gabby and yourself can support each other and assist in tightening any screws. I love that his name changes in the updates. His name is now Paul. I'm gonna guess Paul is the actual real name and not Carl. That's very funny that OP did that. He deserves whatever karma comes his way. I don't know if you're going to directly do anything to tear his life apart, but sometimes your own peace and your own happy life is the best answer. Staying as far away from that dickhead con artist is a very good idea, OP. And I get the perspective of it's been so normalized in this girl's life that it's bad to assume that the kid is bad. But I don't know. I feel like 16 and 17-year-olds are exposed to so much these days, especially relationship dynamics on TikTok, especially with stories like this that will come up non-stop. You have to know, cheating bad. My dad has girlfriend, yet I go to so many different girls' houses and hang out with them all the time. This seems like cheating. I'm gonna put 2 and 2 together. I get that we should assume ignorance instead of malice, but it's hard for me not to think that it's malice in this instance. I just refuse to believe that she didn't know. To me, it is too obvious. Regardless, the problem here is Paul. Fuck Paul. Me and my homies all hate Paul, and you deserve better, OP. Thank you for the story. Am I the asshole for telling my girlfriend her adult sister can't live in our tiny one-bed flat for weeks? So me, male 30, and my partner, female 26, live in a country far away from both of our families. We live in a tiny one-bed flat, which is for all intents and purposes a studio, glass partition wall. It's pretty cramped even with the 2 of us. I also pay all the rent, my partner covers food and a couple of bills, far less overall, and far less over the course of our relationship due to me earning considerably more. My girlfriend has just spent a couple of weeks seeing said sister in another country. Her sister is doing some traveling and then had planned to come and stay with us. I've been given no dates and wasn't asked if this was okay or even how I felt about it. I was pretty stressed about it. I work long hours in a stressful position, which includes once a week on average, 14-hour shifts and 2 sets of night shifts. So needing to sleep during the day, during the time she plans to come. I'm a very introverted person and value my free space. I would have to go to the bathroom to get changed because of the glass partition. I eventually told her how I was feeling, explained that I absolutely wanted her to spend time with her sister, but asked that we consider other workarounds. She was disappointed, but seemed to understand to some extent. Today, just before she boards her flight home, she tells me that she's sad, that she's crying, and I ask why, because she's gonna miss her family? I'm like, well, you're gonna see your sister again in a few weeks. Hey. To which she responds with a screenshot of her and her sister talking about how upset they are, that they just wanted to spend time together, but since I'm stressed, then they'll just have to cut their time short together, and how much this sucks for them. Immediately after that, she's offline and is on her flight. They have just spent 2 weeks off together, and her sister is planning on traveling for 3 weeks alone before coming here. She just got a promotion doubling her salary. I feel that if it was so important to spend time together, her sister should sacrifice some of her personal travel time and pay for her accommodation here, and my girlfriend could contribute what she can also. But no, it's my fault they can't have fun together. I feel incredibly guilt-tripped and annoyed that she didn't even think to ask me or consider how I might feel about this. If we had space, I would have no problem. Her friend stayed here last year for a month when we had 2 bedrooms. I still don't even know when she's planning to come, for how long, where she will sleep, as our sofa is not big enough for an adult to sleep on. Anyway, I went on a bit of a rant explaining how I felt about the whole situation. Am I being unreasonable in thinking this is not cool? In the comments, not the asshole. Your partner invited her sister over despite the logistical limitations without discussing with you first. It's your home too. It doesn't seem that there's a budget issue, as you mentioned. Said sister recently got promoted and doubled her salary, which means sister could have booked a nearby hotel and your partner could have stayed with her for a few days. Worst, I think, is your partner throwing you under the bus in her exchange with the sister instead of acknowledging her part of creating this situation in the first place. OP says, "Thanks for the reassurance. I think I was definitely an asshole in some of my reactionary comments, and I'll apologize for those, but I agree I don't think I'm at fault for the root issue here, despite being made to feel that I am." Another commenter says, "Not the asshole. I would be really frustrated and upset if my partner tried to make a unilateral decision like this for a shared space, especially one so tiny. This kind of behavior comes across as inconsiderate and lacking in maturity, especially given how she placed the blame on you rather than taking accountability. I would have a sit down with your girlfriend and really lay it out. Ask her how she would feel if you invited a male friend or a brother to stay there, and how it would appear that you expected her to just deal with the situation, as uncomfortable as it might be. Ask her how considerate that would be. Offer her no judgment, just try to understand and help her understand why you felt the way you felt." And OP says, "Thanks for the thought-out response. Definitely going to sit down and talk about it. Unfortunately, I jumped right into sending a load of reactionary messages which were immature in themselves. Thankfully, have been able to unsend them, and so I'll be doing just what you were saying and having a no-judgment sit-down to lay out how I feel and why." Someone else says, "Especially if there is no way to close off the bedroom and the main financial provider needs to sleep during the day. Girlfriend is selfish and entitled for inviting her sister without a conversation and agreement from her boyfriend, and then for the guilt tripping." OP replies, "This is what really got me. Nights are hard enough in a relationship anyway. I'm also in healthcare, so really need to optimize sleep to be able to perform. I'm just baffled." Someone else asks, "Have you asked her about her sleeping arrangements? Because now I'm curious how they think that would work." And OP says, "Yes. She said she would sleep on the sofa. Maybe one night crashing on a sofa this size is doable, but not a few weeks, or on the floor, which would mean trampling her if we went to get water/pee in the middle of the night, and having to step over her in the morning to get coffee, etc., where there is just not enough space. I can't even do yoga and stretches inside because we have so little floor space. It just seems ridiculous to me. Of other note, there is a cultural difference. Her family is different to mine and often would have much more communal living, but she knows that is different for me." Someone else says, "I understand the space is small, but you're expecting her to drop her cultural norms to fit yours? Don't you see that as a bit ironic?" And OP replies, "I don't think it is as simple as asking her to drop her cultural norms. We live a very Western lifestyle together, as does her sister. I think her bringing up that it's normal for them to live more communally is unfair. Her family and our living/work situations are entirely different. They don't live in tiny one-bed flats. If I visit her country, I would be expected to adapt to fit in with their lifestyle." Yeah, I don't think that her culture gets to rule the roost back in her country and where you guys are right now. That's ridiculous. Does your Western culture not matter at all? Does it never get to have a say? Oh, don't you see that as a bit ironic? Shut up. I agree with you there, OP. If you visit her country, you would be expected to adapt to fit in with their lifestyle. The same will happen when they come to yours. And yeah, I really don't like how she threw you under the bus here. This is entirely a situation that she created, and now she's pinning you as the bad guy for, trying to protect yourself? Be able to feel comfortable in your own home and have a proper amount of sleep without being disturbed. Oh, sorry, that's just too much to ask, isn't it? I really do hope that when you sit her down and talk to her, she listens and takes it to heart. Not the arsehole OP. And now, onto the update, the next day. So I measured the couch they had planned for her to sleep on, which I had told them isn't big enough. It's 4'5" in length, she is 5'5". There is not enough floor space for an air mattress or anything like that. It is simply not feasible. To everyone who felt that this was a deal breaker/relationship ender, that's kind of insane based on the above information. I agree with those who suggested that she was upset about any obstacles limiting her plan and that she was somewhat blinded by excitement to the reality of our situation. I get that. I have done similar in the past. I don't think she was intentionally manipulating me. I think she was upset and wanted to express that, and I get that. She apologized for making me feel bad, accepted the reality of our living situation, and is trying to find workarounds. It is clear that communication is really key in relationships. Had there been clear communication prior, this whole situation could have been avoided. The reason I came to Reddit rather than talk with her more is because she was traveling for around 24 hours and offline. To those who suggested we talk without judgment and just try and understand where both sides were coming from, thank you. This is the way. In the comments, I like how they communicated. He understood that she was blinded by excitement and not a horrible person, and it worked out. Very mature and balanced. Not very Reddit-like at all. I was expecting there to be a twist, like we discover that the sister is actually planning to move in and is totally broke and will be homeless or something. The sister spent so much time on the tiny sofa that she fell in love with it, and then she stole the couch and they eloped. I think it needs to be said that this wasn't a deal-breaker/relationship ender specifically because he was able to effectively communicate his problems with this. And she backed down. If she had insisted on going through with it, it damn well could have ended the relationship, and arguably, that would be for the best. Yes, she was reasonable as well and realized where she was wrong. Agreed. As someone who works night shifts fairly frequently, there is already a level of irrational guilt that comes with not being available to your partner, friends, and family when they're normally available, and requiring a silent home during the day when your partner may want to invite guests over. I can imagine it felt pretty shitty to have the girlfriend pile on the guilt when he was just being realistic. My mum used to work nights and evening shifts, and I've worked evening shifts before. You really do have to rearrange parts of your life to make it work. Luckily, it seems OP's girlfriend just hadn't thought this through, and they worked through it. It doesn't help that a lot of people will call you lazy for sleeping during the day when you literally have to. When I worked overnights, my family was mostly understanding, but man, I've heard some horror stories from other people. I don't get it. Why is everyone saying that the comments were all telling OP to dump her and end the relationship? No, they weren't. Those were normal comments that OP was also responding to. Everyone's just telling her, sit down with your partner, talk to her, understand where she's coming from. We back you up, we realize what she's doing is wrong, and it's okay for you to be questioning this. We get where you're coming from, OP. Have that talk. I don't know why everyone just assumes that Reddit's always saying, oh my god, you know what, she said one rude thing about you? Oh my god, it's time to break up. Stop saying that, it's not true. And yeah, thank you OP for the story. That was amazing. You've proven that healthy and effective communication can and will work, especially when your partner is willing to reciprocate. You love to see it. Thank you. Our next post is by user Practice Complete 1, and it's titled, Am I the asshole here for only paying for one of my daughter's weddings in down payments? Yes, divorce. No, kidding. So I, 50 male, have 3 kids, Sarah, 35 female, okay, had a kid at 15, okay, Jessica, 25 female, and Ben, 23 male. My wife and I had Sarah when we were both 16. It wasn't easy, but with both our parents' support, we could finish college while we raised her. When it was time for her to go to college, we didn't have the money to help her, so she took out loans and paid for them herself. We learned from our mistakes and started saving for her siblings, Jessica and Ben, who got around a $100K college fund and had no debt. Throughout all of this, Sarah never complained. She finished her education, got a fantastic job, and could repay the loans in just 3 years while staying with us to save as much as possible. She has also helped us a lot with babysitting her younger siblings and has always been selfless and helped out in any way she could. Maybe even to a fault. So when she told me 5 years ago she was getting married, I talked to my wife and told her how I felt bad that we never did anything for her and that I wanted to give her the inheritance I got from my grandmother, which was around $50K, to help her pay for her wedding and down payment on the house. Luckily, my wife agreed. Even though she didn't really need it, I know it meant a lot to her. The issue is this. Jessica is getting married next year and had assumed that we would plan a similar gift for her. She was quite surprised when I told her that we never discussed such plans, and even if we wanted to, we didn't have the budget for it. She told us that it wasn't fair that we paid for her sister, but would not do the same for her. I tried to explain the situation, telling her that in the long run, we spent twice as much on her and her brother as we did on Sarah. However, she insisted that Sarah was already well off, noting that Sarah and her husband had paid off their house and were doing extremely well financially. I told her that this had nothing to do with how much money her sister had. This was us finally being able to do something for our oldest child, who had to sacrifice so much because we had her at such a young age. She didn't take it well, left angry, and won't speak to us. My wife thinks we should maybe take out a small loan and give her the money because she isn't used to not talking to her kids and is sad that she is being left out of the wedding preparations. She is even afraid of us not getting invited to the wedding, but I have to put my foot down and I won't budge because she is not entitled to our money. Now even Sarah is saying this is getting out of hand and even offered to help pay half the money. But personally, I'm at a point where I'd rather burn the $50,000 than give it to her. Sarah and my wife think that that is not worth destroying our family over, but I think that giving in will only make her more entitled in the long run. In the comments, on why OP gave the eldest daughter money, OP says, "I gave her the money because I felt like a bad father. I thought about all the time that we missed from her childhood and the less expensive presents that she got in comparison to her siblings because we just didn't have the money. And she never complained, never said how unfair it was because she deserved better. I didn't give her the money as a reward. I gave it to her as an apology for us being stupid kids and not being able to give her the childhood that she deserved." Did the wife indulging the youngest make her entitled? OP says, "I think my wife is still a little traumatized and avoids conflict because of what happened to us when we were kids. Her parents threw her out and didn't speak to her for half a year, which had a profound impact on her. I think she's just scared of losing her daughter, like she thought she had lost her parents." Tarzan Kitty says, "Not the arsehole. One child got a funded education and one child got a wedding. I think college girl is probably an entitled brat because she got the higher ticket item. 100% agree. You couldn't give her the money for her schooling, so you gave it to her after. Jessica got the money for school, Sarah had to pay all of her schooling off herself. Not the arsehole, and if Jessica is so set on having the money, then let her take out a loan and pay it back like Sarah did for her schooling. Jessica is being a spoiled brat, and I get your wife wanting to keep contact with her, but if the only way your kid will speak to you is if you give them $50,000, then there's other issues there. Does she even know how much college costed? Not the arsehole. And stick to your guns. Don't reward this temper tantrum." Also totally random, but I'm kinda disappointed the son wasn't named Parker, just because my brain instantly wanted to put that after the first two names. Not the arsehole. Sarah sounds like an incredible daughter for even offering to help give her younger, spoiled sister money that she is not entitled to. You did something right there at least. She can have the $50,000 for the wedding, but first, she needs to take out a loan and pay back the money she got for college. The money that Sarah didn't get because she wants it to be fair, right? Quote, "She told us that it wasn't fair that we paid for her sister, but would not do the same for her." You're right, Jessica, it wasn't fair. We should save another $50,000 for Sarah to make it fair. OP, this is exactly what you should tell your daughter. Children don't owe their parents anything, but she's an adult and should be able to understand she already had her $50,000 and more. I don't really know what to add after all of these comments because I feel like they say what I'm trying to say. I'm completely with you, and I think your wife needs to start backing you a bit more as well. If you give in to her and give her $50,000, she will push the envelope and she'll try and get more in the future. If she's making as much a fuss about it now, it's almost guaranteed she's going to do that. Don't give in to that behavior. If someone won't talk to you because you won't hand over $50,000, maybe that's someone that you need to just not talk to for a while. That's not a rational and normal person. And now, onto the update 1 week later. After reading all of the comments, I felt even more convinced that I was in the right, so I sat down with my wife to talk. Following many of your suggestions, I showed her the post and asked her to read it. She wasn't happy, especially when she saw how many people had read it, but she was also really curious. This has been on her mind a lot lately, and she wanted to know what all of you were thinking. She had a few issues with my comments. She believes that when I said I would rather burn the money, it indicates that I need to change my approach to problem solving. While it might be easy for people on the internet to suggest that their parents cut off contact with their child, she's not ready to lose her little girl. Additionally, she thinks my statement about doing my duty and wanting to take care of myself comes across as selfish and is not something a parent should say. She believes that there is reasonable compromise. Instead of giving her the full $50,000, we can offer her half for the wedding. This way, we can cover most of the expenses from our savings, borrow the rest from Sarah if needed, and pay her back within a year. I told her right away that I was not going to do that. I told her that we could separate our finances and that she could return to work full-time to help Jessica pay for the wedding. However, I made it clear that I was done. As selfish as it may seem, I don't feel obligated to Jessica anymore, and I want to enjoy my life while I still can. She replied, as she always does, that I am stubborn and she would take that step if it meant keeping the family together. I told her that it was fine, but not to come to me complaining about her health when she went back to work full-time. A couple of days ago, she came to me and said that she agreed with my proposal. We planned to open a joint bank account where we would deposit our monthly expenses, and after that, we can each use our personal money however we like. We decided on an amount to keep on our savings account for emergencies and agreed to split the remaining funds 50-50. I even agreed to cover 60% of the money needed for our joint expenses. This is the first time we will have more than one bank account, so I'm a bit nervous about how it will turn out. I also believe that she mentioned talking to her boss about working more hours, but I want to avoid getting involved in that discussion. I spoke with Sarah and expressed my concerns about giving Jessica any money, which I believe is a bad idea. However, Sarah insists that she wants to help. She mentioned that while she agrees with my viewpoint, she doesn't want their mum to return to work full-time. She clarified that her decision to help was aimed at supporting their mum, not Jessica. I told her that it was her money and she could do as she pleased. But like her mum, I wouldn't involve myself in the situation any further. Right before I wrote this post, I sent an email to Jessica expressing my feelings for her. I clarified where I stood and mentioned that she could decide how involved I would be in her wedding. I don't expect a reply, but now I'll have to wait and see what happens. In the comments, Opie added some more info saying, I forgot to mention this in my post, but part of our agreement is that she should not take out any loans with interest. If she decides to borrow money from friends or family, that's her choice. But I want to avoid having another bank loan under my name. However, I am confident that she won't need to borrow much if she only gives $25,000 for the wedding, especially since it appears that Sarah is planning to cover half of that amount, which again, I still think is a bad idea. A commenter says, you know these three are making a mess that you'll have to clean up. Ideally, you would nope out, but $50,000 in debt? This has so much potential to go sideways for you that it's almost a guarantee. For example, since OP isn't involved in this, we can use more than $50,000. What happens if your wife can't work? What if she pays on the loan but only has 10% of the monthly bills? What if she resents you for this? Will you actually die on this hill and divorce? If not, you may as well go to the bank. Involving Sarah in this is a shitty thing for her to do. Your wife seems to believe that she has a separate financial life. That is just not true. I don't know. I could write a 30,000-word report on this. Half would be petty bullshit, but the other half involves creditors. That said, I do hope this settles things. Not the arsehole. And OP says, it's not $50,000. I realize now that I didn't explain something clearly. My wife wants to pay $25,000 for the wedding, which she and Sarah have agreed to split. She believes this is a reasonable compromise, but I disagree with her. Lena says, As an older sibling who had to pay for essentials like deodorant with gifted money from grandparents, and who has a younger sibling who's still not paying a dime or anything at 23, it will never stop amazing me how incredibly entitled people can be, especially those born with a silver spoon in their mouths. I'm glad that none of my younger siblings turned out so selfish and entitled. I can't imagine any of them treating my parents so poorly after getting a whole college education for free. Jessica is a major asshole. I wonder how the brother feels about all of this. Is he watching what his sister is doing with disgust? Or is he planning to throw a similar pissy tantrum if and when he gets married too? Shit show in the making, and I'm willing to bet that OP will get all of the blame when it ends badly, even though he's the only one distancing himself from this mess. Yes, indeed. This is not a great situation, and certainly not a compromise. It only plants seeds of future strife and resentment. Feels like there's been an increase of people coming to Reddit for personal advice, only for them to ignore the advice completely, and then be shocked when things go bad doing it their own way. To be fair to OP, there's only so much he can do here. He and his wife have to make joint decisions, and neither can unilaterally decide over the other. So they were at an impasse. This is about as good a compromise as they can come to. Yeah, OP has taken the advice from Reddit, the more sensible advice anyway, and not the stuff from the bomb throwers. I'm still on OP's side here, and he's up shit's creek without a paddle. I think it'll be a while before we get an update, but that first commenter on this update, I think, had a lot of good questions to ask. Because yeah, there's so many things that can go wrong that you almost think one of these will go wrong. What happens if the wife can't work? What if she pays off the loan but only has 10% of the monthly bills? What if she resents you for this? Sounds like she will resent you for this one, OP. You were the voice of logic and reason here, not giving in to terrorists, and she's like, you know what, you're an asshole for not giving our daughter $50,000. Oh man, good luck. Good heavens. This is just such a shit show, and I genuinely pity you for having this come up, OP. Good luck. Thank you for the story, and I'm excited for if there ever is an update to this one, because I'm very much curious now. Thinking about not attending my brother's wedding because of his fiance's prank on my husband. I'm 25 female, and my husband is 30 male. My brother, 32 male, and his fiancée, 31 female, recently came to visit us in our city. My partner and I are new homeowners, and they were staying with us for the first time. My brother's fiancée loves Halloween. She's also a Disney adult and has a childlike side to her which comes out sometimes. She's just super involved, or absorbed, when it comes to her interests. Anyway, I'm just sharing this for context because my perspective is that she often gets carried away, and I genuinely feel what I'm going to describe was the result of one of those moments where she just took it too far and suffered some negative consequences. She is, however, taking it as a very personal attack. So we disagree, and the disagreement resulted in my husband cutting their visit short, aka they were asked to leave. 31 female has made comments more than a few times now since meeting him that my husband gives off a dark vibe. She's always comparing him to characters from various books she reads. It's not necessarily criticism, she always explains that they are compliments. Well, I'm not so sure anymore. Her reasons for these comparisons are based on his looks, the general vibe that he gives off, and his tattoo. He only has one, but it's on his hand. During this recent visit, she mentioned that she would love to see someone like him get scared because she can't imagine him getting startled or letting out a scream. Scaring him became her goal during her stay with us. None of us knew about it, not even my brother. The incident causing all the trouble is that she tried to jump scare my husband in the garage. It was dark, and she ambushed him in the garage while wearing a full outfit and mask when he was returning from a run. Well, he didn't let out the scream that she wanted. He instinctively reacted by shoving her against the wall. She hit her head and was quite shaken up. Luckily, he realized very quickly by the sound she made that it likely wasn't an intruder. He switched the lights on and pulled her mask off. He told me he was very confused in the moment, like, why would she attack him? My husband helped her inside, apologized, made her tea, and then called me, as I was out with my brother. When we got home, I asked her if she was okay, and I said that her prank was stupid to do because she could have gotten seriously hurt. I don't know if it was what I said that bothered her, or if she was just waiting for her partner to come home, but she launched into crying about how my husband used an excessive amount of force, knowing that it was most likely her just doing a harmless prank. In a nutshell, my husband asked her straightforwardly, "Are you implying that I intentionally assaulted you?" She hesitated, but chose to say yes, and my husband responded to that with, "Get out of my house." I tried to smooth it, but my husband was adamant if that's what she genuinely believes, then she's not welcome to stay. She chose to stick to her accusation. I decided to side with my husband. My brother is angry with me. He thinks that I should have tried to do damage control and let them stay by convincing my husband to lean more into apologizing and placating his fiancée, who was just recovering from the situation. He thinks this whole thing would have blown over if I had helped my husband fold. I find this unfair. My brother was counting on me to handle all of this, yet he didn't speak up during the conversation or try to talk sense into his fiancée. My husband remained calm the entire time, but he obviously felt insulted by her remarks, and I think that's valid. Why should I have taken my brother's fiancé's side over my own husband? Especially when I feel like she was wrong for doing all of that, and then turning around and accusing my husband of wanting to hurt her? My brother says that I was short-sighted and should think of their upcoming wedding, but I think he's the one who needs to get his fiancée to apologize to my husband. Editing to add the text below in an attempt to answer some things that are getting lost in the comments. I would like to clarify, when I meant I tried to smooth the situation, I was not taking her side or doubting my husband in any way. I simply tried to get everyone to consider tabling this until emotions had cooled down. And by those emotions, I meant the hysterics of my brother's fiancée. My husband was calm throughout, although there was an obvious finality about his decision. He made his statement and disengaged. As mentioned, my brother looked to me, hoping that I would persuade my husband, but I didn't, so they had to leave. And the costume. I mentioned in a comment that I didn't get an opportunity to ask that night if she bought an outfit specifically for this prank, or if it was my brother's Halloween costume. They go to adult Halloween parties, and we're attending one this weekend 2 hours from where we live. It was part of my brother's costume. A mask, like a golden masquerade one but more coverage. It reminded me of the gold/jeweled animal masks from Squid Game, or something you'd wear to a Rothschild party in the 70s. And she had on a long robe and cloak with a hood. In the comments, Doe2G says, "If she hadn't hidden in the dark garage in a hooded costume, none of this would have happened. There's no way he would have known in the moment that it was her, and I believe anyone would have a similar reaction. Frankly, she was lucky she was not hurt more than she was. There's a direct cause-effect here, yet she's not accepting responsibility. I think her behavior falls into the play stupid games category. Your husband doesn't have anything to apologize for, and it's offensive of them to try to obfuscate her responsibility. Not the asshole." Ford Warrior says exactly this. It's one thing to come out of a closet into a well-lit room, and completely another to jump someone in a dark garage. She's lucky he didn't break her nose or jaw. I live in Oklahoma. She's lucky she didn't get shot. Texas here. Getting shot is a real possibility. That is beyond stupid on her part. I guarantee you that I will not be attacked again. Not funny. And Speckled Fried Pickle says, "Not the asshole. Your future sister-in-law is deranged. She attacked someone coming into his own home. He reacted accordingly. How would he know that it was her? She messed around and found out. Your brother should have told her that it's her own fault. Be prepared for more dramatics once they are married, and go low contact now. Nothing will ever be her fault." Edited to add, "Call your family now and tell them what happened before they spin it and blame your husband for reacting appropriately." I agree with that. I think you should get on top of the story now. If there's anything to learn about dickheads like this, you get onto the story ASAP. You do not let them spin it. It's going to be a he said, she said regardless of what happens, but it's better that you're the one in charge of the narrative from the get-go. You're not the asshole in this situation at all. She could have been killed by your husband. Because the commenters are right. What if he was a Texan? We all know, come on guys, we all know Texans are born with concealed carry. She would have died if she jumped the Texan in his own house. We all know that as facts, no printer. But yeah, there are so many universes where she jumps this guy in his house, gets shot, and now he's going to jail for manslaughter. Or potentially murder as well. Like, what a stupid thing to do. She has negative brain. Going low contact is the least of your worries right now. If you let her get away with this, it's only going to get worse in the future. And now, on to the update, 19 days later. I got a lot of messages requesting an update. I have never made one before, so I hope I'm going about this correctly. I tried to talk to my brother multiple times after the incident, but each attempt ended in silence because I refused to give in to his demands. He wanted my husband and me to apologize to his fiancée, starting with me downplaying the whole situation so she wouldn't feel bad about her prank. I hesitated to send him the Reddit post that I'd made. Initially, I thought it might work against us to make things worse, but his total inability to reason with me or see the situation for what it was became beyond frustrating. Since I couldn't physically deliver a cold hard slap to his face for asking me to be complacent in allowing my husband to be falsely accused of assault, I figured the next best thing would be for him to read all of your comments. Following the advice I got here, I tried to get ahead of the situation by informing my parents. My dad, a reasonable and practical man, immediately sided with my husband. His comments were similar to what a lot of people here had said, focusing on how dangerous and reckless the prank was and the ramifications of being falsely accused of assault. My mum, who unfortunately has always favored my brother, suggested we at least hear her out, referring to my brother's fiancée. As livid as I was about her reaction, I wasn't surprised by it. My dad did try to shut down her skepticism, but she remained on my brother's side for a few days, until I showed them footage from my brother's Tesla, which he had tried to delete. The Sentry thing recorded part of the interaction in the garage, not the jump scare itself, but the aftermath, which in my opinion was more crucial. My husband's account was confirmed. He used a measured amount of force to immobilize her and was prepared to escalate if necessary, which is beyond generous for someone to do in a situation like that, and definitely not owed. Many of you speculated that she might have a fixation or even a crush on my husband, and I'm starting to reconsider some past interactions with that in mind. I also misunderstood what dark books that she expressed she enjoyed, and compared my fiancé to. I learned from comments here that they're actually a subtype of the romance genre. I didn't know that she was comparing him to characters in romance novels, because one of the characters that I recall her comparing my husband to was from a book about dragons. I genuinely wish that I still remembered the names of various characters that she mentioned over the months, so I could satisfy my own curiosity, but my brain glossed over the names during conversations. We have a group chat for the wedding, which includes my brother, my parents, my brother's fiancée, and her parents. In the chat, I addressed the incident but didn't share the Tesla footage, only mentioned that it exists. Her parents didn't respond in the chat, though I know they saw the message. Later, her mum called mine, and apparently they had no idea about the prank. It's hard to say whether they believe me or if they've taken their daughter's side after speaking with her. My brother's fiancée and my brother have both extended apologies to my husband and have requested our presence at their upcoming wedding. My parents, trying to keep the peace, have encouraged us to go, saying that it's the honorable thing to do. So for the sake of my family formality, we've decided to attend. However, my husband has made it clear that we'll be there out of obligation. We will be keeping a distance from them going forward. We haven't explicitly stated it, but there will be no future invitations to our home, not even for the holiday dinner that we had planned before all of this happened. My husband is going to minimize all future interaction with my brother's fiancée. I don't think we'll ever trust her again. I'll try to spend some one-on-one time with my brother to gauge where we stand. Our relationship feels strained, and this incident has made me realize that I lost him to her long before this happened. something that I hadn't fully recognized until now. Thanks to everyone for sharing your opinions. A reporter from a news outlet reached out to me, and I remember requesting that if anyone uses my story, I would like them to pass on the following sentiment. I hope that if you share my story, you can help highlight the dangers of ambush-style pranks. These types of pranks create a threatening environment and put everyone involved at risk of serious harm or injury. They are stupid and dangerous. No one should have to feel threatened or be put in a position where their safety is compromised for the sake of a prank. If that's the setup, then it's not a prank. Actions like these will always have consequences, some of which may be irreparable, and no prank is worth the risk of someone getting hurt. Yeah, no, as much as I made jokes about that before, that's true. You don't know if these people have a weapon on them. Could be a knife, could be anything else. Stop pranking people. To me, her prank came from a place of she has a crush on this guy, she's got some smut fantasies going on, and she decided to act out on it. She put her life in her hands by doing some stupid shit like that. Let's highlight that sentiment of OPs. We should come down hard on people doing ambush-style pranks. You are putting your life in your hands unnecessarily. Thank you for putting that sentiment out there, OP. I agree with that wholeheartedly. In the comments, Mike Reddit74 says, "Still not the asshole, and your sister-in-law is still lucky that all she got was a shove against the wall. Doing dumb shit tends to get people killed more often than not." Tequilitas says, "Please make sure to keep a copy of that video, and if possible, a written statement from your future sister-in-law. She can always backtrack and try to ruin your husband's life with a false accusation." And OP says, "We have a copy." And they reply to OP, "That's good. I would still be very careful with your whole family. Your husband was attacked, and it seems they're all very happy to keep it hush-hush. I know you're trying your best, and I applaud you for it, but please never forget that they are willing to appease that psycho no matter the consequences to your husband." And now, onto the final update, 2 months later. I still get the odd message or notification on this account, which is surprising to me. I always feel bad because I can't feed the interest with a truly juicy update. TLDR, my brother and his partner got married, she is pregnant, and we are no contact. This is the last one from me, guys. I did read, or try to read, some of the books that I got recommended that would show me what my husband is being compared to. I mostly did this for entertainment purposes. I think some fans of these books will get mad, but I'll just be honest. These books are not for me. I got up to book 3 in ACOTAR, A Court of Thorns and Roses, although my skimming increased with each book. I made it through a little bit of the 4th one, and that's when my brain just couldn't take any more. I think my husband was supposed to be Rhysand. After reading 3.5-ish books, I don't quite see it. I found both Rhysand and Feyre increasingly annoying as the books went on. I just didn't finish. They are not my people. If I had to pick, Asriel seemed a little more like my husband. Maybe, based on just loose vibes that I got. I also read Fourth Wing, just the one book, and I won't be reading the rest of the series. I think my husband was supposed to be Xaden. He's actually more of a Liam personality-wise. These were the main 2 books. Anyway, on to the actual update. My brother and his fiancée got married. She was pregnant. My mum had already suspected, apparently, but the pregnancy was announced during the wedding. The pregnancy has made my parents kind of soften. My mum is distracted about becoming a grandma. It hasn't changed how I feel. I still think it's a mistake that he is marrying her, and I'm worried about him, but I also don't have any intense feelings. It's his life. My husband didn't have to attend the wedding. We all said he could skip it, but he wanted to accompany me. Nothing dramatic happened at the wedding. We did keep a bit of a distance, so maybe we missed any drama if there was some. I did learn something disturbing from someone who has spent more time with my brother's wife. She had apparently made some disgusting comments about my husband in the past. She said he looks like a Lesin comics character. It feels nasty to direct quote her, so I will just paraphrase. She basically implied that he is so essayable and or would be doing the essay or something. I don't know if any of this has to do with the context of these types of comics. This was all apparently said in a WhatsApp chat, but no proof of the conversation because the person who told me said she got a new phone and didn't back up her WhatsApp. I don't have any reason to believe that she would make this up though. I didn't confront my brother's wife about this comment because it was said a long time ago and it just doesn't seem worth bringing up. We have continued our no contacts. Like I said, pretty boring update, but it's truly my final one now that the wedding is over. In the comments, Don Name 10 says, "At this point, I would go no contact. The parents are useless, the husband's reputation is being tainted, and there's nothing OP and the family can do except to just accept that that is how it is. Loser, if you'd ask me. There will be potentially more hideous incidents in the future if the husband keeps attending OP's family gatherings where the sister-in-law will be there, and I'm afraid it will affect OP's marriage sooner or later if no contact at this point. I don't know about you guys, but I prefer to prevent rather than repair. There are some things in life that you cannot repair." Puzzle-Headed Tap says, "Wow, that's crazy. Definitely keep your distance from sister-in-law and maybe put up some more cameras. I pity your brother because he's in for a rough ride with the person that he chose to marry and procreate with, but then again, he doubles down and backed her outrageous claims. Hopefully you can move on without any more issues with a crazy sister-in-law. I would be wary of family dinners or holidays without recording them to protect yourself." Look, I'm all for smutty romance novels. Viva la smuts, bring on the shadow daddies and monster fucking and whatever else gets your libido tingling in the written word, but most readers I know wouldn't let elements from erotic romance novels creep into their interactions with unaware IRL people. The sister-in-law is not a good representative of Romancelandia. Yup, I picked it when it was first posted. Sister-in-law seemed to be into consensual non-consent, and that is why she kept insisting that OP's husband should instinctively know her. She's a walking nightmare, and her new husband should be concerned that his new wife is fetishizing his brother-in-law so much. It makes you wonder if she did the whole hiding in the dark to put herself in the situation to have him aggressive towards her. Kinda seems like it based off her book comparisons. Makes her accusations towards the husband even more dirty if that's the case. Can we just go ahead and say that she is a huge cheating risk if she tried to bait someone into fulfilling her itch? Because this woman looks like a huge cheating risk based on the dripping red flags waving in the sky. I looked up the comics, and apparently it's a website for spicy manhwa. It's marked as mature, so it probably runs the gamut from racy to smutty to possibly adult. Makes me wonder if the fiancé is Asian and the sister-in-law is fetishizing his race on top of everything else. Sounds like sister-in-law is nuts, or she's with the brother to get close to the husband that she fancies but knows that she can't have him. Best all round to stay away from her. Nah. OP needs some real distance from this one. She is genuinely a freak. Was she pregnant when she did the prank? She put herself in a physically dangerous situation that could have, who knows what could have happened. But those comments saying that he was essayable sounds like she was trying to put herself in a situation where he didn't, assault her more so than essayed her is what it sounds like. My God, what a terrible person. Sorry, OP, but, your brother choosing to be with someone as disgusting as that, good luck to him, but you need to cut them both off and out of your life. She's not someone that should be anywhere near your husband. She needs to be in jail for that kind of behavior. I'm so for real right now. Ew. Disgusting. Get it away from me. Look after your husband as much as possible. She is a predator. I'm surprised you were even able to get the Tesla footage off of them. What a dangerous and unfortunate situation to be caught up in. I hope all is well going forward, OP. I really do. This is a nuts story. Would I be the arsehole if I extended my stay at my parents' house and missed my wife's cousin's wedding? My wife and I are on vacation in my native country. I lived here until I was 18 when I moved to Canada. My wife was born Canadian, but her parents moved from the same country that I did. We have a 1-year-old daughter too. My parents still live in my native country. My parents and her relatives live in different parts of the country, so we landed at her relatives. I spent a day there and said my goodbyes to my wife and daughter and flew to my parents. The plan was that I would spend 2 weeks at my parents and then fly to my wife's for 3 days, attend her cousin's wedding with her, and we would all fly back to my parents for a few days. My parents then got to see my daughter and then fly back to Canada. A couple of days ago, my relatives had decided to arrange a hangout for the entire family at the beach, huts booked and all. Some other relatives of mine that live in other countries are also here at the time, so it's supposed to be a good family gathering, but it's scheduled for the day of my wife's cousin's wedding. A couple of my uncles called me to ask me to change my plans so I could attend, and my parents want me to be there too. I thought of changing my flight to later so that I'd be going after the wedding for just a day and then coming back with my wife and daughter. I told my wife about this, and I was pretty sure she would be on board, because even though she's very close to her cousin, I don't know her at all. However, she got really upset, saying that we had a plan, that she wanted me to be there at the wedding with her, that she wanted good photos of our family. I tried to explain that it would mean a lot to my family if I could make it, that they don't make these plans often, and the wedding is all her relatives, a lot of whom don't know me. She got really upset, wouldn't hear of it, and said I needed to be there. We ended the call. Would I be the asshole if I extended my stay and missed her cousin's wedding whom I don't know because my relatives have planned a grand gathering and would like me here? In the comments, sorry, you would be the asshole. You asked for her input and she gave it. Yes, it would mean a lot to your relatives if you stayed, but apparently it would mean a lot to your wife if you came to the wedding. It may sound unfair, but ultimately, it's more in your interest to make her happy than to make some relatives happy. You did have a plan. Did you not inform your relatives ahead of time that you would be there, and when? Sounds like this all could have been planned better. You're the asshole. Do you not parent your daughter at all? She's 1, and you want to send your wife alone to a wedding with a toddler. That's just crazy. You're the asshole. Your wife has already been solo parenting for 2 weeks. Now you want her to go to a wedding with a toddler in tow without your assistance so that you can further extend your vacation. When does your wife get a vacation without your child? You're the asshole. Why is your family more important than hers? And OP says, it's not about more important, just that I don't know a lot of her family and a lot of them don't know me since we live in Canada. I'm not asking her to abandon the wedding, I'm just trying to say that I wouldn't be missed at the wedding as much as I would be at the family gathering. Mistress Liliana replies, it's not about you being around her family, it is about her feeling you support her. Plus, you're leaving her to take care of your child alone at the wedding, meaning that she will have little ability to enjoy herself and spend time with her family. Everyone's going to ask this poor lady, where's your husband? And she's going to have to sit there knowing she's married to a man who doesn't value her. You need to be there so that she can show off her husband and daughter and introduce everyone to her family, something that is much harder to do with pride and a smile when your husband misses the wedding to extend his 2-week absence to be at his relative's impromptu family gathering. She needs you to attend this event to be present and gracious and charming as a husband and father. Please go and show all of them what a great match that she has made. OP says, yeah, I'm gonna go. I've let her know and have apologized for the stress. Shichimi88 replies, you should want to go yourself, not asking the public to defend your poor choice. Show your wife this post because you were going to show her if people agreed with you. You're the asshole. Yeah, it kind of did sound like OP's just looking for people to give him validation that he is doing the right thing here. Even with what OP has said here, I don't understand how any of that is justification for missing the wedding. Oh man, I've married into your family and they're my family now, but my closer family gathering is actually more important than getting to know your family. Sorry about that. Take another week off, huh? Better luck next time. I don't know, man. That sounds like a one-way street to being divorced. Like, I do genuinely believe This is the start of a divorce if he were not to go to the wedding. And now, onto the update a week later. I had received a justifiably harsh response to my last post, and I can't thank everyone enough for that. I realized I was being a selfish asshole, and I went to attend the wedding. I had a really good time there. It felt really good to see my wife and daughter after 2 weeks. I was prepared to apologize to my wife's parents too for my reluctance, but fortunately, she hadn't told them that I was considering not coming during the few hours when I was undecided. I had to meet and greet a lot of people. My wife was the first amongst her cousins to get married, so I guess I'm the first outsider to become a part of the family, so I spent a lot of time talking to her relatives and got to know a few of them too. She's very close to her cousin, so she was basically what our equivalent of maid of honor is. She had a lot of stuff to deal with, and I was making myself of use by keeping our daughter preoccupied. They had planned a lot of things: family pictures, couples dinner with the bride and groom, and I was honestly in awe of the planning that went into it. I'd been feeling pretty ashamed of how much trouble I would have caused her had I not gone. She asked me a few times if I enjoyed myself, which would make me feel even worse about it. My parents were disappointed about me not attending the family gathering, and it sounds like it was fun, but I've realized nothing is worth not being there for my wife and daughter. Thank you all for the asshole verdict. I needed it. In the comments, Lazybones Dreamer says, "Honestly, you don't realize it, but it makes a huge difference in your relationship. Had you not come, your wife would have had resentment about your priorities." Damn, his wife was even the maid of honor at the wedding, and he didn't realize until he got to the wedding? Did he not see her planning this stuff? Apparently not. I'm guessing it's because it wasn't about him, so he didn't bother or care. It really is crazy that his entire justification was, well, I didn't think my role would be that big, when his wife was apparently spending so much time planning pre-wedding events that he was in awe of it. I've had to have this conversation with some male friends of mine as well. Sometimes we do things for other people, even if it's not what we want to do in that moment. He also totally disregarded how he had committed to attending the wedding. He could just blow the wedding party off because he didn't really know them? I don't think that matters when they have to pay the bill for him. His role wouldn't be that big? Maybe not, but his wife's is, and she can't fulfill her role with a kid in her arms at all times. But somehow, it never crossed his mind that he is also responsible for their kid. The whole she'll deal with it mentality. What a jackass. I think OP is very, very lucky to have such an understanding wife in this situation, because the fact that she didn't mention it to her parents at all kind of blows my mind. I feel like most other people that do something like this to their partner, the parents are going to know about it, they're going to pull you to the side, and they're going to whoop your ass for it. So count your lucky stars, OP, and recognize how lucky you really are here, and welcome to the family. You love to hear it, you got off pretty easy for this one, just don't repeat the same mistake. Our next post is by user DependentOdd7372, and it's titled, "Am I overreacting? My boyfriend came home with makeup on his shirt after a night out." So last night, my boyfriend told me that he was just going to grab a drink with his friend, but then he didn't come home until 4 a.m. When he finally stumbled in, I immediately smelt perfume, like a strong floral scent that I don't wear, and then I noticed makeup on his shirt, like actual smudges. I asked him where he went, and he brushed it off like I was crazy for even questioning him. Him saying he's going to grab a drink made it seem like he wouldn't be out until late. He said that I was being too emotional again, and that I always assume the worst. But I don't know. I feel like my gut is screaming at me that something happened. Would I be overreacting if I asked his friend what really happened, or if I went through his phone to see for myself? Because at this point, I feel like I need proof before I lose my mind. In the comments, Bob says, "No, you're underreacting. If it looks like a duck, quacks like a duck, chances are good that you've got a duck. Trust your gut. This sounds like he's probably had a visit to the strippers." Yup, I had an ex come home with a long blonde hair that I pulled off his shirt, and somehow I didn't even really think anything of it. Turns out it was a stripper's. A long blonde hair probably wouldn't be enough in itself to make me sus, but covered in makeup and smelling of perfume screams lap dance. Won't be makeup, more like body butter. No, you aren't overreacting. I really can't understand a scenario like this that isn't cheating unless he was taken advantage of when heavily under the influence. Though my bets are that he cheated because he's gaslighting you and minimizing your feelings. I'd dip. I'm not saying this wasn't cheating, but just to offer a possible alternative, I often end up with makeup on my shirt at social occasions where I'm hugging or cheek-kissing women as a greeting, especially if it's a white shirt. Perfume can transfer too if they're wearing lots of it, which isn't uncommon for some women, especially if you're taller than them so their face is roughly at your collar height. In this instance, I'd say the context of him being dismissive about the question and him being out late at night grabbing a drink with one friend is suspicious enough, but the point is, makeup and perfume on a shirt can be completely innocent. I'm gonna go with you're not overreacting in this instance. Chances are he's at the strippers, yes, and less likely is that he's cheating, but it's not out of the realm of possibility. Keen to see how you deal with this one, OP. And now, onto the update. I checked his phone, and now I feel sick. So my boyfriend came home late the other night, and I was super suspicious. I couldn't help but check his phone. I knew something was off, so I waited until he was asleep and went through his messages. He said he was just going out for a drink with his friend. Well, it wasn't just a drink. He went to a strip club, but that's not even the worst part. I found texts between him and his friend talking about how good the night was. He straight up admitted to getting a private lap dance. He even described the dancer, saying she was so hot and that she literally changed his type to blondes. I just sat there staring at the screen, reading those words over and over again, because I'm a brunette. When I woke him up and confronted him, he barely looked guilty. He just sighed and said, "It's not a big deal. It was just for fun." Like my feelings meant nothing. I broke up with him on the spot. This is an update from my last post. In the comments, Solar C says, if he starts to complain or whine, you say, "It's not a big deal. It's just for fun because now I can find me a decent guy." Better yet, say, "I'm not your type anymore. It's not a big deal." And then tell him that you gave a guy a private lap dance while he was out, because it's not a big deal, right? It's not a big thing. That's why he kept it a secret from you, because he knew that you wouldn't like it and that it is in fact a big thing. Edit, block him. Don't let him talk himself back into the relationship. Yeah, in my opinion, this doesn't need to be a big thing, but it's totally dependent on the dynamics of the relationship. I've been in a relationship where a boys' night to a strip club wasn't a big thing, nor would it have been a big deal if it was the other way around, but that was cleared up front, so no hiding things should be necessary. The fact that he has to hide it tells you everything you need to know. If you were cool with it, he should be able to just let you know that his buddies want to go to a strip club, and it would be no big deal. Still not overreacting in this situation, OP? I think you're doing the correct thing. He deserved to be broken up with, he lied to you, and he knew what he was doing was wrong. I know you'll find someone better.